So it's been a minute. Last episode I did on my podcast was about Karrion Cross and the whole thing with Karrion Cross. Um, so I'm jumping into this, no intro, nothing on that sense of it, because I got a lot to say today. By the time this episode is up, there is a No Kings protest that is happening all over America. It is a protest to basically go basically standing against President Trump because the actions that has recently have been going on with President Trump has made him feel as if he is a king dictator. And we are basically making a statement that this man is not a king. He should not be a king. He should not be treated as a tyrant or a dictator or a king. I've said it many times before that this man thinks he's General Prothero or Chetler Santler. Honestly, not Prothero, Chetler Santler. And this man feels that this is England in the future. And we are the men and women in the Guy Fawkes mask. The difference, it's not November 10th, November the 5th of November. We're doing it early. To all my friends and relatives who have been protesting today uh, in Parma during this situation, including my best friend, Alta Ray Star, aka Brittany, I am there in spirit with all of you. Know that. I want to be there. Trust me. But transportation's a bitch. It's hard enough for me to even get transportation to go to an anime convention, let alone try to go to a protest that is necessary for me to go to. Because what is going on in the world with my people, my friends, and my family is not one to be ignored. To all the people who are watching this, who saw me at Colossalcon this year, thank you for all the love, support, and appreciation. Trust me, it has not gone in vain. I apologize to those who were there during my high maintenance of high tolerance moment on Friday. Things were not going well for me on that day, but I was able to withstand it, and within the weekend, I was able to do my part of it. Shout outs also to all the group that I was with this year at Colossalcon. Thank you for all that as well. Um, Now, on to the main topic of today. I couldn't help but talk about something a little bit more lighthearted in a sense. Um, so at one point, I remember uh, one of my favorite YouTubers recently has been going through a conversation about certain stuff, and it was about apparently there's a game that's coming out soon from Arc Systems Works. They are the developers behind games such as um, not Fatal Fury, Guilty Gear. They are behind games such as Guilty Gear, and they have announced earlier this month, that they are working on a game called Tokon Fighting Souls. It is a game that they're doing in collaboration with not only Marvel Studios and Marvel Games, but they are also working with PlayStation Studios, which means this will be a PlayStation and PC exclusive. Um, if you're watching the video of this, I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up on the rec sense of it. Um, so, with that being stated, on that case, with this game, I'm actually watching Maximilian Dude, his YouTube channel, to watch his. I was watching his reaction of his speech about um, this game having future characters in the game. Now, as you can see here on the screen, um, he's actually talking about certain characters in this game that I can actually pull that up, if anything, up. If I can pull it up on my other screen. Um, Here it is. I have to remind myself that I have two screens. So, on his channel, you can see he actually has pulled up um, a little bit of I want to say, a tier list of potential fighters that are in the game. Now, as they shown in the trailer, they have only shown four characters that are already confirmed to be in the game: Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Doom, Star Lord, Storm, Ghost Rider, the Robbie Reyes version, and for the first time ever, Miss Marvel. Now, going through the list of it, he has already made potential of certain characters that he's already believed that's going to be in the game. Now, and I also agree with him on that. Wolverine is definitely going to happen. Hulk is definitely going to happen. Thor is definitely going to happen. And Deadpool, you would be remiss to not have a character breaking the fourth wall. And I hope they get Nolan North to reprise him on that because he was in Marvel vs. Capcom. Black Panther would be awesome. Captain Marvel, obviously, for the women. Daredevil will be awesome as well. And Venom is not surprising, but it is a welcome. Now, he also states as well at one point that he believes that one of the characters in the game that also he believes that should be in the game is more X-Men. That will probably happen. Now, there are two characters he basically states. And let me see if I can play the clip just so I can give you a good idea of what he states.
Focused instead of more broad stroke, I think we can get 4 X-Men. I think it's a high probability. A full team of X-Men makes sense to me. So what other 2 X-Men characters make it? I don't think Magneto's gonna be in the game. I want to be wrong, but I don't think Magneto's gonna make it. Maybe later he could, but I don't think he's gonna make it into the base roster. 30 spaces is not a ton of spots. Wolverine is the guarantee. Oh, yes. Deadpool's also technically an X-Men. Yeah, you know what? I like that idea. It's also a little weird, but at the same point, not really, because he's been in other games, but Colossus would be really cool. He's not been in that many Marvel vs. Capcom games. I would love to see Cyclops in this game. I don't think it's happening. Cyclops with a jacket is literally GOAT status. I don't think it's happening. Here's another hot take. I think the roster is going to be fairly balanced between boys and girls because most of the Marvel vs. Capcom games so heavily skew dudes. I think it is also going to probably be a bit like maybe 1/3 is going to be at least girls, you know? I think they'll probably do that because those games tend to do pretty well just in general for monetary purposes. With that being said, is it Psylocke or Rogue, chat? I really want it to be Rogue. Dude, if this game has like 8 fucking X-Men characters in it, it's going to be sick. As much as there's some good picks in here, I already think this roster kind of sucks because it doesn't have all the things that I like. Like, I want 8 X-Men, dude. I legit want 8 X-Men.
So, Wolverine, Deadpool, Colossus, and Rogue.
But thinking about how they're going to do it instead of what I want is tough because already I want several characters that aren't in here. This is a personal pick, and I think it would be smart. Blade.
Okay, we're going to stop it there because this is where I have to talk about my decisional take on this situation because this is what brings me to what I have to bring up. So, as of right now, he said Rogue or Psylocke. He says personally Rogue. And as much as I like Rogue, I am going to disagree. I would like Psylocke. Let me explain why I want Psylocke. Psylocke was a heavy playing character in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, in the Capcom Marvel games. She has been in the Capcom Fighting Collection, such as X-Men Children of the Anthem, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom series, which includes X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And then, of course, she's been on outside games such as Lego, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, Champions, the card game, Marvel Snap, and, of course, Marvel Rivals. However, when it comes to fighting games, I would like her to get an opportunity to be in an X-Men in a Marvel fighting game outside of the Capcom games. I would like that. I personally do. She has become a high favorite, right up there with Rogue. Right up there with Rogue. Rogue is mostly popular because of 2 assets, and I'm going to be honest, favorable. And this is only because I like Rogue to some extent, but not as much as I like Psylocke. Rogue is more only popular because of the fact of her nostalgic sense of it when it comes to Lenore Zahn's performance in the 90s and 97 X-Men animated series. When you think of Rogue, you think of Lenore Zahn, you think of her performance in X-Men, the 97 animated series. If you're not thinking of that Rogue, you're thinking of one other Rogue, and it is a Rogue that I do like, but at the same time, she's a very popular version of that Rogue. and that is 100% Rogue of X-Men Evolution. I have seen more Rogue cosplays from X-Men Evolution, or we call her codename Goth Rogue. I've seen more of that version of this version of Rogue cosplayed more than any other variant next to the comic accurate. I have rarely seen people cosplay as Rogue from Wolverine and X-Men. I have rarely seen people cosplay any other versions of Rogue in the comic books. I have rarely seen even people cosplay the movie and a Paquin Rogue of X-Men. Barely. Barely. Number one with a bullet, Vintage Rogue, 90s X-Men series. Right after that, Goth Rogue, X-Men Evolution. The two highest cosplayed Rogue cosplays to ever been done. I can literally put in X-Men Rogue Evolution cosplay, and there it is in all of her glory. Every 90%, and it's a 50-50 when it becomes either her costume in the animated series, her uniform, but 90% of the time, it's her goth attire, her high school goth attire, which I'm not even going to lie, I am actually replicating that look for a friend who's going to cosplay her in a future photo shoot. So even I'm a sucker for it. Because you have to think about the fact that she is widely popular because of her goth aesthetic. Hell, even goths who are cosplayers have cosplayed Rogue. Case in point, Kinpatsu Cosplay. Kinpatsu Cosplay, also known as Spooky Kins, when she's doing her more exotic lewd work, is a heavy tattooed metalhead goth girl. Through and through. And you're going to get lucky if you were watching the version of this if you watch her, if you're seeing this on video version, in this sense of it. But to give you a perfect example of her loot stuff, B-rated R sense of it, this is what Spooky Kuns looks like. As you can see, heavy tattooed in the ribcage sense of it, heavy tattooed on the arms and fingers, metal-headed look attire, gothic attire outfits, but still risque work. Like full-figured, gothic, metal-headed woman. Taylor Barter is her name, but she goes by two aliases. Spookykins for her metal, metal lewd work. So everything that's such as risque stuff, the sexy stuff. When she's doing her sexy lewd stuff, that's non-cosplay sense of it, she's Spookykins. When she's doing her normal cosplay stuff, she's Kinpatsu Cosplay. Now, feel free to follow her on her YouTube channel for her normal cosplay stuff, which I do follow her for that because most of the stuff that she does in her normal cosplay stuff, I actually find instructive. In fact, one of her instructions I actually was able to do. I actually replicated a Peachette crown, Peachette crown. I was able to replicate based on her instructions and her patchwork. So she does a lot of good DIY stuff, and she explains a lot for a lot of people. But one of the things she wanted to do was she wanted to get into more lewder content, but she couldn't because of a previous relationship. But since that divorce and has now had a new relationship, she's now exploring in doing more risque work. Hence this picture of Luna that I'm showing on my screen right now. Again, only the people who are not watching, who are watching the video version are getting to see this. Anyone else who's not, you know, that case of it. But in any case, when it comes to perfect example, when it comes to her, in a sense of it, she also is person of that material goth sense of it. Her aesthetic is right up there with Rogue's in her normal attire. So for her, all she needs to do is just make up a wig and a few other outfits, and she automatically can do Rogue. And girls who are in the same aesthetic like her have even cosplayed as Rogue. That's why Rogue is X-Men Evolution is the most sought out replicated costume, because she has been done by a lot of girls in the alternative community as well. She's the perfect aesthetic of it. Her look and style is that perfect aesthetic of it. The most popular one, though, I know of genetic cosplayers who have done many Rogue versions is Stefania. If you follow Stefania Sarsano, Stefania Sarsano is number one with a bullet. If you even have followed her, Stefania is the biggest, the goat of Rogue cosplayers. She has cosplayed every variation of Rogue that you can even possibly think of. She has done every version, um, as well as done ones that you would not really expect her to do. Um, I think this is also her in a TikTok video. But yes, she has done a couple of cosplay. No, that's Cherry Needles. Okay, but yes, she has done costumes of X-Men Evolution Rogue, but she has also done many other versions, including ones from the comic books that many people don't do. So I have a lot of respect for her. But she has done also cosplays that are not Rogue based. Some other X-Men characters, Captain Marvel, Elektra. She's even done non-Marvel cosplays. So, but her most popular work has always been the Rogue cosplays. Now, back to what I stated when it came to Maximilian Dude with his video when it comes to the Token Fighting Souls. I feel, other than X Men Evolution, if you take away X Men Evolution Rogue, if you take away 97 X Men Rogue, along with her in that sense of it, because of that relation, that is the reason why the game version did successfully well. They got Lenora to do her voice. They made her aesthetic look similar to the animated series, especially with the costume, even though that costume is in the comic books. But because of the fact that you get to play that version of Rogue in the classic video games, that is why that Rogue is popular. I feel that is the real reason. However, I personally believe Psylocke from X-Men should be definitely one that should be put into the games. I personally feel that. Rogue in the Capcom games was awesome. I personally love that version of her. And I hate that she still doesn't get a lot of attention in the sense of it. Um, but I personally feel she was awesome. I really do. I just hate that her limitation has mostly become because of people who uh, only are familiar with her in this game of it. Like like some people don't even like most of her version in Marvel Rivals. Surprisingly, that's another thing too. So, but this is also what I want to bring into the table in this situation. And it's going to it's going to be a heavy segue to something a lot deeper that I also want to address about, because this relates to that, because I have no other place that I can talk about this on any other platform other than talk to myself about it. So, for those out there who are familiar with the X-Men movies, I'm pretty sure you know about Olivia Munn. You pretty much know she was the one who played Psylocke in the X-Men Apocalypse movie. Now, we're not going to critique about the X-Men Apocalypse movie. We're not going to critique that. But I want in this is also partly relates to Tokyo Souls, Tokyo Fighting Souls, Tokino whatever Fighting Souls. I hope that if Psylocke is in the game, I want her to have a British voice actress. Plus, this also relates to it. If Psylocke is confirmed in the MCU, because don't forget, we are getting an X-Men movie in the MCU. We're getting the X-Men in the MCU. I would like an Asian actress of British nationality to also play her role. And that's where things get into play, because most of the British Asian actresses that have been casted are unfortunately have been casted in other projects of Marvel, and there are two in particular, and many of you probably already know about these two actresses. Um, the first one is Gemma Chan. Now you all should know who Gemma Chan is. Gemma has played two parts. Has actually starred in two Marvel movies, Captain Marvel and the Eternals. She played two different characters. She played a character. She played a character in Captain Marvel, and then she played a character in. She played this character in Captain Marvel, Minerva, which is sort of a Kree-related role. And then she played a different character in Eternals, a character named Cersei. Now, Cersei and uh, uh, Cersei and uh, Cersei and Minerva are not even the same characters. Here they are. Gemma is the only actress as of this at the moment, early on in the moment, that has played two different characters: Minerva in Captain Marvel and Cersei in Eternals. They are not related to each other, but they are played by the same actress. Gemma is also a British Asian actress. She is one of the few British Asian actresses. And because of that, her playing both of those roles, and if I'm correct, they are proposingly doing in Eternals 2, which she probably will be coming back in. The fact that she will be in that movie, if she wasn't in either of those movies in the MCU, she, I believe, would have been a good possibility for Psylocke. Now, the other actress that I also want to bring up, another Asian British actress, is actually Jessica Henwick. Jessica Henwick is another actress who I also believe would be a perfect Psylocke as well. She is a British Asian actress. The problem, however, is she also has already been casted in the Marvel MCU. She plays our Colleen Wing of the MCU, who is technically, by standards based on the series, is now the new Iron Fist. Which is why I tell people, if we have all of the MCU defenders returning, you don't need to bring Finn Jones back. You can bring her back. And I guarantee you Jessica would come back. Jessica with a heartbeat would come back, especially since clearly The Matrix didn't do as well as she was hoping it would be. So apparently she was supposed to be casted in another Marvel film, I believe Shang-Chi, but at the same time she got cast. She won her audition role for the Matrix Revolutions, and she had to commit either to the MCU or to Matrix. She felt Matrix was more important, so she committed to that, which is why she didn't show up in Shang-Chi. However, as we all know, Matrix Revolution didn't do so well, so there's a possibility that she could come back. I'm hoping either she'll come back through the Defenders narrative with Daredevil Born Again, since we are getting Jessica Jones back, and there is a possibility that Luke Cage could be coming back. I hope she comes back, because it would be awesome to have her come back. Plus, it'll balance out female, male, instead of Finn Jones, because nobody liked Finn Jones's performance. No one did. Anyways, with her no longer now doing that Matrix, she's now probably open to coming back to playing Colleen Wing, who is technically, by standards, the current Iron Fist. However, I need to see her either in Daredevil Born Again through the Defender Initiative sense, or she can come back in Shang-Chi 2, because Shang-Chi 2 is going to happen. It is confirmed by Simu Liu. There is a Shang-Chi 2. So there is a possibility that we will see her again. It just depends on when we will see her again. But again, as by standards, as you can see here in this screen capture from the series finale, she is the new Iron Fist. Hence the glowing sword. Because in the last episode of the final series, the series finale, she was officially given the mantle passed down to her by Danny Rand. So, even though Danny also technically still has the fist powers, so does Colleen Wing. So, but there is a possibility. But I could totally see her also playing Psylocke. However, both of them being in the MCU currently as it stands, it's a possibility, unfortunately. More Jessica Henwick than Gemma Chan, because Jessica also has fighting background and dance background. That's why I personally feel her taking on the role would be a good idea more because of that. Now there are a few Asian actresses apparently who are apparently there are a few actresses that I'm pretty sure that would be awesome in the sense of it. It's just hard to say, but those two as of right now, unfortunately. Now it would be awesome to see Olivia come back, but if they did possibly bring Olivia Munn back, which again, I am going to say this, with what she was able to do for Psylocke and X-Men Apocalypse, I still give her a lot of credit, regardless of what people think. Because she did what she was able to do for that character. Because, as you probably know, she didn't, she had to give the information to Brian Singer when it came to Psylocke. Brian had no knowledge of Olivia Munn's of Psylocke. He had no knowledge, but Olivia did. Olivia had all the knowledge because she is an actual fan and a comic book fan. That's why I still will defend Olivia Munn to the day I die when it comes to her playing Psylocke. Now, if they do cast her back in the MCU as Psylocke, that'll be awesome. However, one little tweak I will like to make clear when it comes to her playing the character again. They need to give her a British accent. I don't care how many years Olivia has to go in for a dialect coach. Get her a British accent. And here's why. For those who are not familiar with the comic book lore of Psylocke, Psylocke was Betsy Braddock. Betsy Braddock, years ago, started out looking a little bit different before we would know her iconic role look in the Marvel comic books and such. When she first appeared in the comic books of the sense of it, she was not Asian portrayed looking. She was a British white girl with purple hair who had basically psychic abilities, no different than Jean Grey, no different than Professor Xavier. This was her original look, right in here. Purple hair, but normal look. This is what Psylocke looked originally in comics. And her abilities were only limited to her psychotic abilities. She only had a little bit of sword skill thanks to her brother, who was Captain Britain. It isn't until her body was destroyed and she possessed the body of a Japanese Asian assassin named Quanon, where she was able to take on the look that we know her for later on. And with Quanon's look and her body, she was able to also inherit her fight abilities. Quanon was in Quanon's body. Betsy was able to also inherit all of her training, Quanon's fighting and training skills, including katana swords use, which is why she ends up using her Scion blade with the katana. Because when she started out, she only was able to just mind psychic, which is a psychic force. But it wasn't until she ended up assimilating into Quanon's body, she had sword skills ability, combat skills, able to siphon her katana swords with the Scion power, and of course, her ability to even manifest a Scion blade, which is basically a blade made out of energy from her psionic powers. Later in the comics, of course, in the Marooners area, she was able to, of course, to split her body into two, where now she was able to take on two identities. There's a part of her as Quanon, but still Betsy memories and such, where she became still Psylocke, but then the original Betsy, with her Psylocke abilities in some cases, took on the mantle that her brother had and became the new Captain Britain, with her psionic abilities still attached that allowed her to create, of course, energy blades, but more elemental swords, such as Excalibur, as you can see in some of the photos that I'm showing on the screen. This is Betsy back as Captain Britain. So now they're two different people. It's really, really trippy. Really, really trippy. However, again, Betsy is British. When she takes on the body and Quanon, I believe in the comic books, she still has a British accent. And there's only one adaptation of Psylocke that I remember that actually stayed with the lore of that by giving her a version of her that is straight on that lore. And that version is Wolverine in the X-Men. Now, The hit of that was she's Asian, purple hair, psychic abilities, and British accent. The miss on that, she does not have the physical training and combat that the original Psylocke Quainon has. She only uses her psychic abilities. Her psychon abilities is the only thing she obtains in this version in the animated series. However, in the 90s X-Men series, she does appear in an episode and she does have her abilities. However, she does not have the British accent. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I want to happen in the lore of the MCU. And in the video game lore, if they put her into Fighting Souls. I want Psylocke to have that British accent, the Asian look, and still obtain the fighting abilities that I've loved her from the comic books. If I had to say my favorite X-Men of all time, it is Psylocke. Psylocke is my favorite X-Men of all time. After her, it's Rogue, and then after her is Storm. So it's Psylocke, Rogue, then Storm. Psylocke is my favorite X-Men character because I fell in love with her since the Capcom fighting games. So Betsy has been my personal favorite, which is why, and if I can think I can bring it up, and you guys who are watching the video episode of this podcast will get this exclusive. If I can, I think actually I can pull it up on my other screen. I forgot I have it up here. I actually was able to do a little Psylocke test. So I was able to do a test costume creation of Psylocke from X-Men. And I recruited a friend of mine. Shout out to my friend Mariah, who actually has purple hair at the moment while she's modeling. And I had her model a Psylocke costume that I created myself. And I'm going to give you guys who are watching the video version a exclusive look of it. This is Mariah modeling the Psylocke costume that I constructed myself. There's a little bit of Photoshop editing, such as the Psylocke blade on her face and a little bit of the straps that are found on her along with the belt. But those are already done. I actually made those already. But I actually have made the rest of the costume. So as you can see here, the full costume with the psionic abilities. This is the full costume, and I'm surprised I was able to pull this off. That's why it's a shock for me. But as you can see, she actually has the purple hair, and that's what makes this so awesome, because while she's not Asian, it's the only downside. She's not Asian or British. She has the purple hair. She's got the physique. She pulls it off. I have a few more edits that I'm doing from the test of this shoot of it, but I do plan on getting the rest of the pieces of the costume done. But as of right now, the only thing I have done as the moment is the belt, and I have a few of the sashes on her bodysuit done. So that's the case of it. But you will see more of those outfits soon. You will. If anything, this also brings up a situation with Psylocke that I also want to bring up, because a lot of people who are watching this episode or listening to this episode, I have a little qualm to make of it, because I will defend Olivia Munn with everything. Trust me, my only hurt is the fact that John fucking Mulaney is the luckiest son of a bitch on the history of the world to say that I have a baby with this woman. This lucky bastard on his days get to say I have a baby with this woman. It's my only qualm, which is why I have a little bit of a personal hatred for John Mulaney. How the hell this man is able to get a baby in this woman, I'll never understand. Like, that man does not look, if anything, interesting. It's not until after he puts a baby in her and she is committed to raising that baby in marriage with him that he now decides to be confident enough to grow his hair, get a little butt muscle, look a little bit less of a skinny man. Because when you first see John Mulaney, that dude looks like string bean. And now he looks decently in a sense of it. Why, again, I never understand why this man is the luckiest bastard to get this woman. I'll never understand. I won't. But I will say one thing. It only proves the fact that she is right. She likes nerdy guys. can't really say John Mulaney's nerdy. He's weird, geeky sense of it, but not as nerdy and geeky. But he looks like the physical pretty of it. And I will say, it's better than Aaron Rodgers, because Lord knows, I don't know what the hell she saw in that piece of shit. Like, nerdy girls should never go with jocks. We've made that very clear. And Aaron Rodgers is so jock, it's not even funny. Now, aside from that, I also want to mention on the fact that I don't like the fact that that this woman getting a lot of hate, because I stated this many times before. During the years of G4, I've been a fan of this woman since G4. During the early years of G4, and even Xavier Woods confirmed it, Olivia was the only woman of color to be associated with the G4 team in the early years of the 90s and 2000s, which is why he even confirmed about it when it came to the YouTube Thanksgiving special that she appeared in. He was like, Olivia representing for the people of color. And Olivia acknowledged it too. At one point, she was my favorite. She was literally the reason why I watched Attack of the Show. No hate to Kevin Patera, but she was literally the reason. The nerdiness that she brought to the table was a rare thing. To see a woman who look as hot as her and be as nerdy as they are, knowing all the tech, knowing all the interest of games, video games, comic books, lore, and everything, is what I loved about her. She was the quote standard for many nerdy girls that I always wanted to date, as well as being Asian.
Please. I don't think that is a goofy pick. I don't think even that's a weird pick. That's just to just be there, man.
Sorry, hit that sense of it. Which is funny because it's him sense of it, because what Max just said actually in that audio part moment actually rings true, because it's like you would never expect that from a girl like her. She's Asian, she's hot, smoking hot, and she's nerdy, like deeply nerdy. Oh yeah, sign me the fuck up. Let me put a ring on that woman's finger. It's hard to find women who look like that in that sense of it, but they exist. They fucking exist. But if anything, when it comes to her, I was in love with her. Partly still am, regardless of the fact that she's a mom and a wife now. I will never let that go. However, the rest of the fanatics of G4 were not a fan of hers. They did not like her. So when she left to pursue acting, it was a miracle. It was a blessing in disguise for them. But when they but you know who they decided to go with instead of another nerdy girl who was hot, Asian, and also a big nerd in the sense of it? You know what they went with instead of her being on the show of it? Let me show you who they went with instead. They went with this bimbo bitch. And I apologize for using that term. This is Sarah Jean Underwood. And if you have never picked up a Playboy book in your life, thank God you didn't, because that was what she's popular for. She was a Playboy playmate in the early 2000s. She was the replacement for the co-host for Kevin Patera in Attack on the Show. Now, obviously, she did do cosplay, but I guarantee you, from a lick of the store dime, I can guarantee you, her cosplaying Wonder Woman, she don't know who the fuck Wonder Woman is. She cosplayed Lilu in Attack of the Show in one episode from The Fifth Element. I guarantee you she's never watched The Fifth Element or even know what The Fifth Element is. But guess what? Every man who watched the show loved her. She had no knowledge in technology, no knowledge in nerdy stuff, comic books, video games, nothing. She knew none of that stuff. If you told her if you told her about Judge Dredd had costumes made from Versace, which is also a true fact, she wouldn't care about who Judge Dredd is. She would care about Versace. That is the type of person that Sarah Jean Underwood is. And you want to know what made it worse? At one point, she used to she was creating a character, a superhero, on there called Bustus. This was a character whose superpowers was literally on her chest. That was literally what her powers was. But when she started stuff like with Miss March, right here, where she guest starred Miss March, or I believe this is a clip from when she was on The House Bunny with Anna Faris. That was the only time that it fit in with her. She had no knowledge of technology, no knowledge of any nerdy stuff. Like, she would read off of a teleprompter and not know what the fuck she was saying. But every guy loved her. Now, I won't lie. When Candace Bailey replaced her on the show, I think that was a better choice. Candace had some knowledge. Some. Candace had some, which I will give her a lot of respect for. And then Brittany G. Johnson came in, who I'm actually friends with on PlayStation Network, of all places, which is the only flex I have. And she's ended up doing voice roles and stuff. She also was a host on the show. And she at least had some knowledge as well. And still is a gamer to some extent. So when her and Jessica Chobot and Candace Bailey came to the show, they at least had some credentials. Not as good as Olivia, but at least some. Sarah Jean had nothing. It's like you asking a cheerleader how to code for a website using Codec. That's literally what it was. And she thinks Codec is a new mascara or a new surgical treatment like Botox. That's what it was with Sarah Jean. But dudes loved her, and it enraged me. So, when Attack of the Show and G4 resurrected themselves, they brought in two new people who were in the gaming world for G4, who was a part of this relaunch at the time. There were two women. One who obviously looked the part because she was nerdy and very attractive in the sense of it, and some in nerdy sense of it. But I thought she was awesome. But I do know her stance of it was at some point doing the case of it. One of them was Olivia May, who was great. In fact, this is a clip from Attack of the Show where she basically paid homage to Olivia Munn, because there was an episode of Attack of the Show where Olivia Munn dressed and cosplayed as Chun-Li. I think someone has it online. Let me post a picture of it. Yeah, here it is. So, at one point on Attack of the Show, Olivia dressed as Chun-Li on the show, which is one of the regular things she did on the show. She cosplayed a lot, which was one of the cool things on there. So, at one point on Attack of the Show, she cosplayed as Chun-Li. Olivia May paid homage to her by also dressing as Chun-Li in an episode of Attack, the resurrected Attack of the Show, which was awesome. I think she did a good job. Of course, later on, she would also do a couple of cosplays too, like this amazing Bayonetta. But there was another person who also joined the G4 family who was a little bit more restricted in a sense, and that is Frostgren. Frostgren is a gamer. They also obviously are a gamer of the queer community sense. And I knew that the moment I saw her. I saw her be a part of the show of it. However, this is what people think the killing stroke was. She was not received by a lot of fans. And I'm guaranteeing you 90% of the time, it was mostly the male fans who were not receiving for her. I thought she was great. I thought she was the perfect person to represent the queer representation for gaming, because at the time when G4 was early on in its years, there was no lick of queer representation on the show. None. Can you name a queer person who was on that show or any of the shows in G4? Cheat, Attack of the Show, X-Play, The Electric Playground? No, you can't. I thought Frost did a great job for what they were given in the show. However, there was one episode when they had a G4 moment, and unfortunately, Frost had to let her put an opinion know of it. There was many moments in the reviews and comments from people online and on streams for G4, because at the time when G4 was resurrected, they had it made it a streaming platform, not on network and cable television. At one point, it was going to happen, but it never did. There were a lot of comments from people who were saying, "Oh, I don't like this Frost girl. Like, she's not hot. She's not attractive. Like, what is she doing there? She just looks so butchy, so ugly in the sense of it." Frost got pissed about that. And in a discussion, in the sense of it, Frost decided to let her speak her mind, and she basically had what people call a crash out now, where she basically called out about the sexism, where she basically let it all out. She basically was like saying in the case of, listen, you guys who want that old 90s X-Play and G4 stuff, when a time when sexism wasn't being called out in the sense of it, don't realize that's not the thing what it is anymore. And I'm sick and tired of seeing it on here to the point where the sexism and shit was going on up here, and you can't even respect us as people in this gaming, whether queer or straight. She got tired of it. And everyone was agreeing with her. Everyone was. But because of that meltdown on stream, people, like on this channel here, decided to say that she was crashing out and didn't do a good job of it. People got mad at her for it. And my thing is this. Frost did the right thing. I'm going to say it out loud because I didn't want to say it at first. I think Frost did the right thing. Someone needed to let people know this isn't you want the old G4 that it used to be when they said they were bringing it back? Well, you made a mistake. This is not that G4. You want that G4 with the sexism involved with it? Watch the old video reels of G4. This is not that G4. We are now on a playing ground field where everybody, including men, women, and queers, are allowed to have that moment in their video game love of video games and the nerdy culture without having to be subjective to sexism on our looks and attractivity. And it's fucking insufferable. And Frost did not deserve what she did. She did not. But because of the heat that came from that, people were furious. Mostly men. And she basically left the show. They went to agreement to her leaving the show. And right after that, within months later, G4, the resurrected G4, was shut down indefinitely. And to this day, I will personally say Frost didn't deserve it. Frost was right for what she said. And nobody's going to take account to it. And this is what brings me to why I wanted to do this episode. I want to make it clear for everyone in this sense of it that we nerds, to all the nerds and stuff out there, we are not the good people that we used to be. We're not the nerds that we used to be. Now, I wanted to say this in a video on TikTok, but this is longer than what a TikTok could actually accomplish. We are not the gaming universe or the good people in the society with good hearts and love of interest and passions of what we are. We're not those people anymore. We have become just as toxic as the jocks, as the athletes, as the guys who would give us the wedgies and dunk our heads and give us toilet swirls. We have become no longer from what the aesthetic of the 90s shtick of being the victims and punching bags. We're no longer those people. We're now those people, the ones who have made us victims. We have become those people now, because it's come to the point where in video game television media, in video games in general, in the video game industry, in the comic book industry, the anime video industry, the cosplay convention industry, we have to deal with this shit every fucking time. Now, me being a photographer of 10 years, especially in the cosplay world of it, I won't lie to you when I tell you I have heard so many stories and I have observed so many moments where I have seen cosplayers, and especially female cosplayers, who still, to this day, deal with the fact that dudes do not want to respect their space when they are doing cosplay. Just because you see a cosplaying woman or even a queer-based cosplayer dressing femme in a provocative costume is not a fucking invitation for you to say that, hey, we let me get into that costume and take my pants off. Why the fuck are we still doing this? Why? It enrages me to no goddamn end, because it's still something we have to, deal with to the day. And I'm so goddamn tired of it. I don't know why we're never going to stop we're going to keep dealing with this shit. And then I also want to bring up in that sense of it because we have to deal with this all the damn time. Because forever, I don't understand why is it that we have to still deal with this shit because cosplayers don't because cosplayers in the sense of it. There is a video. Shout out to my friend Hellspawn Cosplay. He did a video. He showed a video where he was. I think it was New York Comic Con, where he saw literally while a cosplaying girl who was wearing a provocative costume was doing a professional photo shoot with several cosplay photographers, and a guy behind her was taking under pictures of her with his phone and tried to sneak it. And it's on footage that Hellspawn Demetrius had to get him and call his ass out while he's observing the shoot. Because to this day, we're still fucking dealing with it. I won't lie to you. I have seen many cosplayers who I have shot with for years who look sexy as hell in their costumes, but it never, to my ideal, ever makes it an invitation for me to actually think that I got a chance with them. Let me give you a perfect example of this. This is my good friend Elk Cosplay. She is a gorgeous cosplayer, but she also is, underneath all of that provocative outfit she's wearing, she's actually a very nerdy person. Now, as you can see here, she's dressed as Boa Hancock. For those who are listening to the audio version, she's dressed as Boa Hancock in her golden costume from, I believe, the One Piece Gold film. But she's added a few things to it. Now, if you've seen Boa Hancock in that golden bikini, you know it's a very revealing bikini. So everything is almost out in the open with Elk wearing that costume. However, when it comes to Elk in the costume, and then I'm also going to show you some of the shots that I've shot her in her other boa costume, because the first shot I got of her as Elk was in her basic Elk costume, which I loved her in this costume. I think it was one of my favorites. It's the first time I shot with her. It's the red costume that she's infamously known for. It's a swim version of that costume. And then I also shot her as Nami in a swimsuit version of Nami, which I also shot her in. Now, not going to lie to you. I want the cosplaying femmes and females to women and femme presenting cosplayers who are dressed in the femme costume. If you want to show off your body in a shoot professionally and you're okay with it, you can do that. You can do that with me, or you don't have to. It's up to you. I am not going to tell you. If I ask respectfully, that's your decision. But it doesn't have to be. I have shot many cosplaying women. Like there's a cosplayer, actually I can show on here. I'm going to show this. So for those out there who are listening to it, there's a cosplayer that I worked with. Their name was, I believe, is it, not Ellie. I believe their name is, not Laura Looney, not Icarus, not Felt Cosplay. What is her name? Not Belle. Not Ashley. That's Miko Party, Miles, Raven, Wrestling, X23. Oh, I'm missing person. So there's a cosplayer that I work with, Liz, I think her name is, and she did an amazing costume. And I'm going to show it to those who are watching the video. And this is the only one I'm going to show her, I think, because it's the only one that I feel that's a good one of her. Now, if anything, with her costume, very provocative. I believe she actually made the swimsuit. That's what makes this even more. Very much crafty, very much talented. One shot that I usually ask if they want to, because sometimes it's for their own confidence. I have a rule in the cosplay world, especially when it comes to Boudoir 2. No one, if you have a backside, you have the right to show it to me or not. But that's the only time that I will show anything risque. I don't care for the chest. I don't care for the no lips and lips. It's not my thing. I don't want it. I don't want to see your nips. I don't want to see your lips. I don't care for either of them. All I know is booty is the only thing that should be universal in this world. Women love booty. Men love booty. Gays love booty. You have to be crazy to not like booty. So if you are willing to show it and you have it, I will take a photo of it for your enjoyment. But it is not a mandatory shot. Now, I did a shot with this lovely girl, Kel, and I shot her where she is in front of a rope area where it's like a hut, and there's a rope that's crossing it off to prevent people coming in, but I'm having her balance herself on that rope. Just a playful look. Now, with that shot, I offered if she wanted to show the backside of it. Respectfully, she declined, and I'm okay with that. Now, you see, I didn't have a tantrum. I didn't say, you're terrible. I didn't go off on her. I wasn't pissed. I wasn't going off, storming off, acting like I had a fucking attitude. No, I respect it. Okay. I appreciate working with you. We can do something else. I still shot with her the rest of it, but I loved it. Now, if she, her own, on Snap, on her Instagram, she did show her off the outfit from the front and back, but she showed it on her own. Again, respect her on that. If she provides it, take it into view. But if not, it's not for anyone to see. Now, another person I shot with is a friend I haven't shot with in a long while, and her name is Laura Angel, I believe, Dragneel, I think she goes by, but her name is Ashley. Shout out to Laura Dragneel. And I haven't shot with her in years. I was only able to get her in one costume shot because the first time we shot together, I shot her as Urza costume, the yellow swimsuit from Fairy Tale. And when she wore that costume, she had no tattoos, not a single piece of ink on her body. But she wore the yellow swimsuit, and she wore it completely well. It's one of my favorite shots from when we first started. Since then, she got a boob job. She got a butt. She got her butt bigger. Let's just say she's filled herself out. But now, she came back to this con, and she's now dressed as Urza in her black swimsuit. We did a shoot with that. Now she's got 5 or 6 tattoos on her body, including a large back chest piece. And with that being said of it, we did another shoot like old times. And now I did that shot like I did with the other girl where she's on the rope. And for her enjoyment, she volunteered to show the back, which is what I had offered the other girl. She volunteered. You see how the two differences on that? That's what I'm talking about. I didn't have to ask her. She knew it, and she was proud of it. There are some cosplayers who are like that, and then there are some cosplayers who are not. Another perfect example, Luxlow cosplay. Shout out to Luxlow. Now, I have shot Luxlow 3 times in the last few years. Now, the first time I shot with Luxlow, she was dressed from Persona, and she was already turned. She was Takamaki from from Persona. And this is like the shot I had her. And I didn't know it was her until I realized the tattoo on her arm when she turned around. She has one tattoo sleeve on her shoulder, her left shoulder. And that's when I realized it was Luxo. I didn't even know it was her. I just took shots of her because I loved her Tamaki costume. When I ran into her again, I shot her as Ivy. And this time I took as much advantage as I could to shoot with her as Ivy. And her outfit, she made herself. Now, she was also shooting with 2 other people, but she was shooting mainly with me. And she was showing every part of her body, all by her own self of it, which was great. I love shooting with her. I love shooting the stuff that we did together. Then the third time we shot together, she shot with one of her costumes from League of Legends that she actually made. Now, here's the thing. When I asked her, did she want to show the front and the back of the costume, she respectfully declined. And I was fine with that. Sometimes you want to show it yourself. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to show it with certain photographers. Sometimes you don't. It happens in this industry. The thing is photographers, especially newcomers, need to remember that if a cosplayer is comfortable enough to show you their body on their own to the shoot of it, take that into consideration. They trust you. They're comfortable with you. They are willing to be okay with you doing that. But if they are not, you should not pressure them into doing so. If they say no, take the answer. Now, to elaborate more on this situation, yesterday I got to go on live stream to watch Sonia Shiho. Now, Sonia Shiho, I have actually known for a while because the fact that I actually followed her for years early in her cosplay. She has grown so much in her cosplay. However, she has reclused herself from making frequent appearances. Most of the shoots she's done now are her own in-house. I respect her decision on that. There are some cosplayers that it happens with. They have migrated to doing their own shoots and no longer working with other cosplayer photographers. Also, to the point where she feels that, hey, I'd rather shoot it myself than shoot it with somebody else. It happens. It happens. And I respect that. Another person example, Christian Hughley. Now, I met Christian at New York Comic Con 2014. I wanted to work with her, but now it seems that she only works with one person, her husband, who is known as Bruce the Handler. He is a photographer and her official photographer. So every shoot that she has done has only been with Bruce, her husband. Every shoot that you see on her page and such, and on her social media, has 90% been shoot by Bruce. I respect her decision for that. Now, I don't know if it's because of other photographers who have reached out to her, worked with her, or the controversies of that. It doesn't matter. The point is I respect her decision. If she doesn't work with anybody, she doesn't have to. Now back to Sonia. Sonia, it's that same thing. Sonia feels it's better to shoot with herself than shoot with anybody else. She doesn't like feeling comfortable shooting with other people. Now, she had a live stream that I was on, and I had brought up about the fact that some photographers that she deals with, I was curious on the fact that when it comes to shooting her own stuff and shooting with other people. At one moment, she had mentioned about an experience she had with a photographer who wanted to pressure her into shooting boudoir. And I want to talk about that more in a minute, but I want to bring up this interview in this clip because I was able to clip it from her Twitch channel. By the way, feel free to follow her on her Twitch channel if you can. But this is the clip that I want to bring up where she brings up about that photographer who pressured her into trying to work with her.
No, I don't want to. It's just easy. It's not. I'm not weird. And I'm like, you're being weird. If I said no and you're still asking me to do it, you're being weird. Like, if someone just says no in general and you pressure it, no matter what kind of photo it is, you're being fucking weird. Let it go. The answer is no. Like, I just don't know why photographers they get insulted. They're like, oh, you don't like my photography? I'm not good enough for you? I'm like, I don't like anyone's photography of me. I love everyone doing this. No, I don't want to.
So, that was from her Twitch channel. I was able to clip that because it was very important that I brought that up because it is something that people like myself had to learn. I had to learn this early on in my years, and I feel like this is also something that needed to be addressed about it because of the 10 years that I've done photography, I have grown in respect of my work and the respect of cosplayers who either are willing to work with me to a certain limit or cosplayers who don't feel they need to work with me and they respectfully decline to work with me. Now, when I say decline respectfully, I say that not as in rejection. I say that as in respectfully, I understand and I appreciate you asking, but I'm not going to take a pass on that. Because there are some photographers who still see that as rejection. And when they see that as rejection, they take it as a raging moment. The first 4 years I got into photography, I used to be that. I'm going to be very, very openly case here. I was. And unfortunately, it took a toll on me to the point where at least 3 to 4 cosplayers have now blacklisted me. And then there were 2 other cosplayers who have recently cosplayed, as I think of a total of 6 cosplayers who have pretty much blacklisted me. Am I ever going to reconcile with those cosplayers? They won't. I could offer my forgiveness and apologies and respectfully acknowledging situation, but they will never take that into consideration. It is what it is. Sometimes you lose that from people in this industry. It happens. The only thing you can do is to move forward and prove to people now when you work with them that you are not that same person that they have known. And that's what I do now. I want to prove to those 5 to 6 cosplayers who have banned and blacklisted me that I am not that same photographer that they worked with and had experiences with. I'm not that same guy. In fact, most of the work that I've done with those people, I pretty much deleted because I no longer want to associate myself with them as well. They do their own thing, I do mine. My only request now is they no longer spread that same logic of their reputation with me, of my reputation with them, to newcomers who have worked with me. Because the last person that I did that with was a cosplayer that I really wanted to work with, that I loved working with, who is associated as a friendship with that other cosplayer. And because of my experience with that cosplayer, who no longer likes me anymore, or no longer works with me or respects me anymore, their friendship, they had to choose that ultimatum. Well, I don't like that guy, even though you're friends with him. And he was terrible with me. So I don't want you to be with him. Okay, I'll choose you over him. And the problem with that is they don't want to take on their own account of their relationship with that person. It happens all the time. I've mentioned years ago, probably on this same situation when it comes to those cosplayers. In fact, one of those cosplayers was a former guest on the show. If you probably have noticed, and you followed me from the beginning of this podcast, you probably noticed there was an episode that I actually had of that person on this show. I'm not going to say her name, but she was a former guest on this podcast. However, I've taken her episode down because I refuse to no longer associate with the person. Even though she told me she wanted that podcast episode to be taken down, I wanted to take it down anyways because that person no longer associates with me. And because of that and her friendship with that person, that's the thing of it. However, what also made me realize the fact that that person no longer is a good person in the first place was, and this is shout out to Ryu Lavitz, who I worked with one time, unfortunately, because she doesn't go to a lot of Eastern conventions anymore. She's over in the Boston, Massachusetts area, so it's hard to try to get to her. So unless I ever go to that area to work with her, she's always welcomed to me working together. But I got to make a trip over to her, which may be in the cards in the future. We'll see. But as of right now, she sort of phased herself away from the cosplay world because it's toxic. And I do not disagree with her on that. It is. It absolutely is. I'm hoping in the future, if you watch this, Ryu, I would love to have you on the show as an episode, as a future guest, because a lot of stuff that you and I talked about personally has helped me a lot into growing to my work. And I give a lot of props to Ryu because Ryu helped me in ways to motivate me to do a better job as a photographer and prove people wrong, as well as the fact of growing into my work and not letting the negativity from other people who have shunned me and hated on me bring me down in my career. And I immensely hope and I immensely thank her for that. And I never want to lose the friendship that I have with her. I hope not to, because she has helped me immensely. So if you have not followed Ryu Lavitz, that's Ryu with 2 U's. Please go follow her. I cannot thank her more than enough that I already do. Anyways, her motivation, she had told me apparently that the person who I had a former guest on this podcast, that same person who no longer associates me and has blacklisted me, basically she was not a good person in the first place. That also helped me in the optimism of looking past that and going forward. Now, since then, I have worked with so many other people who are barely have made a name for themselves, but will be pretty much getting a launch of their careers because of working with me. And you'll know them when you see them in my work. If you follow my Instagram and my social media of my work, you know who they are. With that being stated, I do want to say that if there was a possibility any of those people wanted to reach out to me and wanted to have a civil conversation to rectify, help me to let them know I'm rectifying my mistakes of social situations that I've made awkward, because I know my social interactions were also at play of why they no longer associate with me. I'm a very emotional person. I like to say myself, I would be a semi-demisexual, because when I'm very emotional with other people, it's to a point of attraction. It seems like it's attraction. Unfortunately, it's almost as if I'm sounding like I'm crossing the line between being a professional and being personal. And a lot of times I'm very emotional like that because I'm attached to people like that. Unfortunately, it makes it look as if I'm attracted to people that way. And it was never that case, unfortunately. It's because my awkwardness as a social person makes it weird for some people to be uncomfortable with. And because of that, it interacted with several people in a way that they feel uncomfortable, no longer wanting to associate with me. And I've had to learn now to not make that seem of an open situation to make that person uncomfortable now. I had to learn that over the years. And now I've made sure that when it comes to other people, I don't do that anymore. With that being said, in the sense of it, now I'm at a point where I don't do that with I'm not opening up with that other person anymore, unless they know me on a personal level and they are that same way affliction to me in conversation. If they're that way with me more than I am with them, then I'm willing to be openly expressive with them. But if they are not that with me and just keep it at a strict acquaintance sense of it, I'm not making an effort. So that's what I had to learn now. With that being said, I felt that in this industry sense of it now, early in my career, there were two of those cosplayers that I worked with at one point who felt that I was being a little bit too pressured on that sense of it, where it seemed like it was weird. But the thing is it wasn't that I was trying to pressure them into working with me in that type of material. It was more of the lack of not acknowledging, remembering of our previous conversations, because my memory is sometimes a lot bad, but also the fact that was not understanding the early sense of it. And unfortunately, one of those cosplayers felt that I was pressuring it, and it was too weird for her, where she basically blacklisted me. Now, since then, I have nothing to do with her. She is going on to cosplay probably still. I don't know. I have not seen her except I think last year was the last time I saw her, and it was in a distance, but I not communicated with those people. And there are one or two of those cosplayers who still are that same way too. They no longer associate with me, but they still see me associating with other people, and it's going to be that way whether they like it or not. Like there was a cosplayer this year who I worked with, and she, I no longer work with her anymore, but I still have some of the edits that I did with her, and I have them in a rejected pile. But at the same time, I no longer associate with her because of the fact that she no longer associates with me. And at the same time of that, it came to a point where she didn't realize that I associated with a lot of people, including my best friend's husband, which I don't think she even realized. When she realized that happening, yeah. So I don't know if she even still associates with that guy anymore, but with my best friend's husband. But yeah, one of my friend's husbands is a frequent visitor at the convention, and she didn't know that he associates with me because I'm best friends with his wife. I met his wife before he dated her, and he didn't even realize it. So when it came to that, that was something she didn't realize. And since then, like I said, she no longer associates with me. But at the same time, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not trying to sound vile or anything like that, but she hasn't looked like she's been doing well. But I don't want to put any negativity on her on that sense of it, because it's not my duty to do that. It's not my place to say that. I've said before, there are many other cosplayers in the world who have since then been replaced in that sense of doing stuff. And I've made it very clear also, most of the shoots that I do with those models and cosplayers, if I end up working with somebody 10 times better, I will make the effort to replicate that shoot to replace it. I always do. It's always been on the option. But nothing vile. I don't wish no vile or ill will to them. As long as they don't try to slander my name out there to hate on me and share that slander to other cosplayers, to no longer strictly working with me. That's all I ask for. So, with that being stated in the sense of it, that's one of the things I needed to bring up in this episode, because when it comes to this industry in the sense of it, the one thing I hate the most is the fact that there are cosplayers, photographers who are still doing this. I have changed from that now. I assure you that I am. I assure you that's not the guy I am 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I've grown from that now. I've taken this to a respect, to the point now that there are photographers in the certain conventions that I've gone to who acknowledge who I am and acknowledge talking with me. They see the work that I do together with them and other people and the cosplayers that we associate with together, and we're cool and everything. They're cool with it as much as I'm cool with it. And while their works is different than mine, we still have a lot of respect and mutual respect for each other in our work. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had to learn also and grow on the fact that just because one cosplayer works with a photographer and they don't work with me doesn't change the fact that we still can't be respectful to each other. And it doesn't also mean that that cosplayer and photographer doesn't mean we can't associate with each other. The only way that'll change is if that cosplayer and photographer doesn't want to work with me and they don't like me. Now, I can give you a perfect example of this. So there is I mentioned Elk Cosplay before, right? I actually found out about her from a photographer named Physivus Studios. Shout out to my boy Mike. This is a shot that he took of Elk during Colossalcon last year when I first met Elk as Boa. This is a shot he took of her at that convention. This is one of the shots he actually took of her. This was my introduction to elk cosplay. Same costume and everything. Um, his shots way different than mine. We shoot entirely different. He has a bigger light set, bigger camera, a lot more expensive stuff of it. Most of the stuff that he has shot with most of these cosplayers, a lot more detailed and stuff than what I would do. I'm grateful for what I can shoot, but at the same time, I'm not going to knock on the fact that just because our setups and equipment is different doesn't change the fact that his work and my work is completely different. But at the same time, we have a mutual respect for each other because of the fact that we both acknowledge our work and this industry and this community. We all have a love of that. So if you haven't followed him yet, go ahead and do that. But Elk was one of the many cosplayers that we connected with each other on because of the fact that he and I have a few mutual people we've shot together with, including Elk. And that's what I've communicated with people like him every year, and many other people every other year. And that's the one thing that I love about now being in the community. And it's the only thing that I like to say is the acknowledgement of why I know I have changed to the better in the best way of the industry. Now, there are still some photographers who haven't talked and communicated with me, and it's probably because, again, I got into this industry because I wanted to also break the social intention, the social anxiety tension that I have. I have high social anxiety. It's hard for me to communicate and break the tension. It's hard for me to do that. If you interact with me first and communicate with me about my work and everything like that, that makes it easy for me. That makes it good for me because I get to know you better and such. If you expect me to interact with you first, it's going to be hard as hell. Now, there are some photographers who I've known or I've followed, and they are amazing in their work, but there is many moments where I have not been able to interact with him. A perfect example of this is DT Jam, aka David Nyong'o. Now, David Nyong'o for years has done photography for many conventions, and he was at Colossal this year, of course. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of shots from Colossal that he's probably going to show up, like this one here. These are some of the cosplayers he shot with at Colossalcon this year. I didn't know there was a Cammy cosplayer. I didn't know there was a Cammy cosplayer, and she's in a swimsuit too. First of all, that Black Queen, to the Black Queen, Ash Cutie, the Black Queen who's dressed in that amazing shell, you are working it, girl. You are working the fuck out of that. I'm going to say that right now. However, there are some of these cosplayers I've seen. Steffi Pixie. He did shoot with her. That's my friend Steffi Pixie. You know who Steffi Pixie is. Steffi Jeff. Follow her YouTube channel. You know she did an interview with me. We did a shoot together, although we lost most of those shots. But it's still awesome that we have a lot of work together. But yes, David is a photographer I respect immensely with. However, I'm not going to lie when I tell you, he and we have never really worked together. We have never really communicated together because it's always an interaction when it comes to our work that is, let's just say, it's hard to break the tension because his stuff is so much good and at a sense where it's like me trying to make the first move and communicating with that person, it's going to be hard as hell. And I see him communicating with everybody else who I like, who I'm cool with. It's just him with me talking to him directly. It's awkward. So I tell people all the time, if you interact with me first when we talk and in my work of it, it's easy for me to do that. And it makes it so much simpler for me to shoot and talk with you. It's easy when you do that. If I have to make the initiative though, it's going to be hard as hell for me to try to talk with you. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It's going to be hard as hell for you to have a conversation with me if you try to have me talk with you first. However, if you talk with me if you talk to me first, it'll be easy. If you have me make the first move, it's going to be hard. But that's why I got into this also, because I want to break that in the communication sense. I want to break that fucking tension. I want to. So that's what makes this a lot hard in the sense of this sort of situation, because when it comes to these events and such, it's hard to do that. Now, um, in communication. So, like I said, if you're a photographer, you see me at Colossalcon or Marathon or any other Eastern convention, and you know who I am, and you want to break the tension, to come to me first, talk to me first. It's easy that way. However, if it means the point that you feel that I have to make the first move, it's going to be hard as hell to do that. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. Um, that's usually the case of it. Um, I know for a fact. Okay, I see 3 conventions that are happening: Bolt Matsuri, uh, GameCon, International Horror Film Festival. I'm looking for conventions that are happening in the Midwest that I might consider looking at, because I may want to go to one more con before this year, unless I decide to go to Motor City Comic Con again. Now, I went to Motor City Comic Con this year, which was the first for me, and I got a few autographs and a few photos and stuff from some people. I got to meet and greet with most of the voice actors of X-Men, including Lenore, funny enough. But I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't tell you that when it comes to uh, some of the people that I met, when it comes to the timing there, I just wished it would have been longer. Shout out to the Bonnie Scott. She was my ride there, and she was also the reason I was able to go. Unfortunately, I didn't get any shots there. I did bring my gear, but I wasn't able to get any shots there. I was too swamped up in trying to go to the con. So I didn't get any shots there, but I loved the con there. It was great. Um, I'm looking to maybe going back to that convention, because they do it 2 times a year. They do one in the springtime, and then they do one, I think, in the fall time. So that one may be a consideration. I have to look into it. Um, it's a possibility, because I believe Motor City Comic Con is happening later this year. Yep, November 14th and 16th. That's the second time they do it, and that is a possibility. I have to look into it, maybe. Um, I don't think they have a guest list yet. Yeah, they don't have officially a guest just yet. I'm looking at the website as of right now. They don't have a guest list yet. So I'm hoping, if I do go to this convention again, I will be going. I'm going to see if I can ask if Bonnie goes again, if me and her can go again, maybe. If not, we'll see. But I do know November 14th and 16th, they're doing that again. I think Motor City, they do it twice. They do one in the springtime, and then they do another in the fall. So that is a possibility. We'll see. Um, anyways, when it comes to the convention, when it comes to pop culture conventions and such, when it comes to photography and the convention sense of it, like I said, I tell most times photographers, you reach out to me first and interact with me, it's fine. It's easy. You expect me to come to you, it's going to be hard as hell. Hard as hell. Don't expect that to happen with me. It's going to be hard as hell. Like I said, shout out to most of the people that that reached out to me and broke the bank, broke the tension, such as Montezi, Fessa Studios. There's a few others I could mention at some point of it, but yeah, it's the one thing about the convention that I can honestly say that I look forward to a lot of times, is communicating with other photographers, learning about other stuff, tech stuff, and everything like that, and then finding out about people that I shot with and everything. It's always been a good time of it. Shout out to all the cosplayers that I work with at Colossalcon this year, and some that I work with at a marathon this year. You guys have been awesome, and I'm hoping to work with many of you again soon. Some of you I've already reached out to, who I've also did a lot of work with. In fact, I want to give a highlight to 3 cosplayers in particular. I've already given my shout out to Elk, so she doesn't count, but I want to give a shout out to three cosplayers in particular. 2 of them are together, and there are 2 separate ones. So I'm going to give them out here. For those who are watching the video version of the podcast, you're going to see photos of them, but the people who are not going to, you'll know who they are when I mentioned about them in the podcast. I'll mention about who they are. So the first people I want to talk to, I will bring up. So this is Chile, and then and then her sister, uh, who I believe her name is, I think it's Miku. I want to say that's who she is. Um, this is frozen on this page of it. That's not where I was looking for. Um, who is okay? So Kibli is her name on Instagram. This is Kibli. Her name is Chillis on Instagram. Shout out to Chillis. I love her stuff. I shot with her. This is her cosplaying from Nikkei, which is the popular game, Nikkei. This is her as Elg. I believe the character's name is Elig from Nikkei, Goddess of Victory. This is her cosplaying as this character. I got a lot of amazing shots with her. Shout out to her. Kibli, 2Ks, 2Ys on Instagram. That's how you can find her. And then her sister, I think her name is Yano, or she goes by Alice. Unknown Riku is her name on Instagram. And this is her. If you're looking at her on Instagram, the shots that I already posted of her as of right now is mostly her as Iron Mouse from the Mo Flavor collection. The only other person that I saw dressed as Iron Mouse at the con at the same time is, what's her name? Jenny Belly, who I actually met at the con. So, but yeah, this is her as Iron Mouse. So, but yeah, there is Chile, who's here, and on the other side, there's Yano. They're sisters. And I think they are both the most adorable girls that I've ever met. And I love and I adore them both. And I think they're so incredible. They're so talented. And I would love to, we're making provisions to hopefully work again soon. So follow them. I believe Unknown Riku is where Yano is Instagram. And then Kibli, which is with 2Ks and 2Ys, is Shilla's Instagram. Please go follow them both. They are both awesome girls. I miss y'all too if you're listening and watching to this. I'm hoping we are in the process of working again soon. Another person that I want to give a shout out to, and this is somebody who I've wanted to work with so long. There have been 3 times I have tried to work with this girl because the first year I found out about her, she was dressed as a character from Colossalcon, as she was dressed as okay. So I don't remember the name of this character, but it's a character. Oh, Jiraiya. So it's a character named Jiraiya from Naruto. The first time I saw her, she was dressed as Jiraiya from Naruto. This outfit in particular. She did a version of it. And this is when she was at Colossalcon. Then the second year she was at Colossal, I believe she was dressed as, I'm trying to look for her on the previous picture because she was also, she also does a lot of Luke stuff. I think it was this shoot she did. Not Raven. Here she is. The second time, this is not great graphic. What are you talking about? So this is the second time that I found out about her. She was cosplaying. This is her cosplaying as Yuta Maki from Jujutsu Kaisen. This is her as Yuta. And I didn't know it was her because that wig is so big on her. However, I knew of Brandywine Cosplay right here, who's dressed as Yuki. I shot Yuki last year. This is last year's Colossalcon, and this is Brandywine as Yuki. I shot Brandywine's Yuki last year, and then I went away. I saw her again. She's like, "If you want more shots of Yuki, let me know." I also have Yuta right here, and Brandy's saying hi to me, but I can't see her face in that wig because, as you can see, that wig is really low on her. So I'm like, "I'm good, thank you. It's nice meeting you. I'll go." And then I go online, as you can see here on Instagram, and I find out that's fun-sized. I can't believe I said no to fun-size cosplay. I'm mad at myself. And I'm like, it's the same person who dressed as Giaria from the other year at Colossalcon. And I didn't even know it was her. And I'm mad at myself for it. So I said, okay, the next time I see her at Colossal, I am not going to say no. And sure enough, she came at Colossal. And this is the why I'm saying this is my cosplay of the year at Colossalcon. I could have said Boa from Elk. I could have said Chile and Yona's cosplays. And I love them both. I adore them both. They're amazing as they are. I could have said Steph's King Didi, which you'll see edits for that soon, but she already got a couple of shots up. But here's why I say fun size also. Not only is the fact of because of the fact that I've seen her 3 times, Jaria and Yuta, and I didn't shoot with her because she was busy as Jaria. So I didn't get a chance to shoot with her because she was already shooting with so many people. But then when she came as Yuta, I didn't recognize her. Here's why I say she is the cosplayer of this year for me. This is a video. If you don't watch the video, but this is what I'm going to tell you. At Colossalcon this year, she cosplayed as Yura of the Demon Hair from Inuyasha. Yura of the Demon Hair. Let me tell you right now, because I'm being a little bit positive and optimistic on this podcast right now, because I'm at a point now I'm in a better mood because I got all that shit out the way of the rant. Yura of the Demon Hair is my favorite character of Inuyasha. Now, you're probably confused on the sense of saying that from watching Inuyasha, you're saying, but Yura is only on 1.5 episodes of the show. She dies early on. You barely get to see her except briefly in 1 episode. Yeah, but in that 1 episode, she takes my breath away. I think Yura is an amazing character. It's not because of her skimpy look, because let's face it, her costume is very, very skimpy. In fact, if you're watching the video version of the podcast, I actually can pull up the shots of her Yura that I took. It has nothing to do with her provocative outfit. It has more to do with her character. I love her character. Yura is my favorite character of Inuyasha. There are people who like Shango. There are people who like Kimiordia. There are some people who like Inuyasha. There are some people who like Shango. There are some people who like Shippo. There are some people who like Kagome. Surprising that it is. And I know there's a lot of women, girls and gays, who will swoon the fuck out of Sheshimaru. But for me, there is only one character, and that is Yura of the Yuna of the Demon Hair. That is my character. That is the girl that I am in love with. And when I saw her as Yura at this convention this year, I immediately stopped her before even seeing Brandy because I knew Brandywine was going to be there. She had already adjusted. She already announced she was going to be there in Shadowheart, which I love Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate. She didn't wear the costume, the other costume that she was going to wear, but she ended up wearing a swimsuit that looked just as good too. And I have shots of those too that's coming. But the moment I saw her Yura, I said, I need to shoot with you immediately because I've been wanting to shoot with you for 3 years. And the fact that you're cosplaying my favorite girl crush of Inuyasha. And it was at that moment that the moment it was it. So as you can see, these are some of the raw shots that I have of her Yura. And I have a few that are edited that will be that are coming out because I actually just sent them to Fun Size. But this was enough for me to say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And I love her Yura. Her Yura looks amazing. She looks so damn good. So damn good. So damn cute too. And she even has the sword. She has the skulls. And then with her Yura's her hair strand ability, she even has that. We were able to replicate some of the shots based on that, which make this even more awesome. I'm so in love with this shoot. This was my shoot of the shoot. There's another cosplayer that's a runner-up as well. Shout out to Katie. She cosplayed a merging of Miku and Ada Wong of Resident Evil 4. So Miku was sort of the theme this year for the parties in Colossalcon that they do every year. Miku was. So everybody had to dress as a variant of Miku. This girl dressed as Miku if she was Ada Wong from Resident Evil 4. And the modern and the remake Resident Evil 4 Ada Wong. Let me make that clear. So it's not the Chinese outfit. It's actually her sweater dress. She wore that version of Ada Wong's outfit with Miku wig. And I had to stop her. And the funny thing is I tried to find her like 4 or 5 times, circled around the entire convention building trying to look for her. Finally found her, stopped her, and walked all the way half the block in the con just so I could shoot with her. So she's a runner-up. But if I had to say the cosplay of the year for me it is Fun Size 100% with her Yura. And the fact that I got to shoot with her as Yura makes it even better. Now, I also shot with her as, I think it's Chiusa from Dr. Stone, and I have shots of those as well, and those will come soon. But her Yura takes the cake. I love her Yura. I love that she did Yura, and I love how cute as fuck she looks as Yura. Like, everything about her Yura is amazing. So, Fun Size wins hands down. So, if you have not followed Fun Size, go follow her. Send her, let her know that Donnie sent you, or Dry Media sent you. Hopefully, if you're watching this Fun Size, we are definitely shooting again. Especially now that I know you don't live too far from me. We're definitely shooting again. We're definitely shooting again. So, with that being said, I loved everything that I shot with today. Hopefully, everybody who's watched this episode will now take into account on the fact that they have to remember when it comes to shooting with cosplayers, be respectful to cosplayers. If they say no, respect their decision, move on, work with. There are plenty of other cosplayers who are just as talented that you can work with that will be open to working with you. Respect cosplayer spaces. And at the same time, if you lose an opportunity with a cosplayer, in the sense of they don't want to work with you ever again, in the sense of it, continue to move on and show that you are just as good. Let's not make this a whole habit of cosplayers, photographers who are creeps with cameras. And on the other side of the fence of that, when it comes to this community, we need to fix that. We need to fix this community. We were once the proud part of this community that was a safe space for people who loved and interested in things like this and the things that we love. And the fact that that's no longer a thing now, because we have come to the point now where we are not a safe space, and there are people who are in our community who don't feel safe of it alone, let alone people are saying that we are not a safe space of it because of this, to the point where there are people who are getting sexually assaulted at these conventions because that's happened, or killed even. We need to fix that. Dreamcon this year had Megan Thee Stallion. First time ever, a big celebrity. Dreamcon is a convention that was started by a YouTuber named RDC World. And he wanted to make a conspiracy space more for progressive for black people. Right up there with BlurCon. And he has done a great established job on this convention, surprisingly. I'm not a fan of RDC World, but I do respect the craft and what he does for this community and this convention. So he takes this to the highest sense of it. It's progressive and inclusion with this convention. To get a celebrity like Megan Thee Stallion, who also happens to be an anime fan and a big anime comic book fan and manga fan, that's a huge flex. However, there are people in our community who don't understand the respectfulness of women when it comes to SA and violence. And if you have not been familiar with the recent criminal situations from former artist Troy Lanez, who got into a misfire situation with Megan Thee Stallion, which he is responsible for being violent with Megan Thee Stallion in the sense of it, please do your research on that. Let's just say, I don't want to bring up much in the detail of it, but let's just say when it came to that situation, Megan was a victim and Troy was not. But unfortunately, there are people who are supportive of Troy, like people who have done wrong, like R. Kelly and such, who have done wrong, have done criminal activity, but because of their celebrity status, people were not willing to cancel them out, even if they're doing time in prison. And regardless of that, there are people who will still support that and will be very negative to the celebrities who have been victims, who are just moving on with their lives, not worried about that situation. And people like Megan Thee Stallion, unfortunately, have to deal with that. And I even said on TikTok, if you followed me on TikTok, you probably saw I made a video stating, listen, If Meg's going to be there, I need everybody to shut up these Troy Lane fans. Shut them up. Shut them up. Get them away from her. Do not have this woman deal with this shit. Because if so, you will never get a celebrity as big as a flex as Megan Thee Stallion again. And let me tell you this. I am a big fan of Megan. I've followed her since Twitter before she got signed to Kevin Lyle's 300 label. When she was an indie artist and doing freestyles in her college campus in the University of Texas, freestyling on Twitter. That's how long I've been a fan of that woman. Before she even put out the first Tina Snow album, I was a fan of Megan Thee Stallion. So I have been a fan of Megan. I was on that hot girl shit before most of everybody else was. So I knew something special about her. I said, this woman is everything Nicki Minaj wishes she was. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Nicki is not the same person that I was in love with. This ain't the Nicki that had the curly hair, natural waves on the come up, who was channeling Foxy Brown. That's not the Nicki that is now. No, the Nicki that is now is nothing like that anymore. But Tina Snow has not changed who she was since she got signed, and I am damn happy for that. This woman now has a liquor. This woman has a swimsuit collection at Walmart. This woman is about to put out an anime on Cartoon Network with Carl Jones, who was one of the writers of the fucking Boondocks. I am happy for this girl. She's even getting love in Japan. Atari Shigako, one of the coolest Japanese pop band artists, was cool with her. She's worked with 2 Japanese artists on her debut major album. How good can you get with her? So to get her at Dreamcon is the biggest flex you can get. Right up there with BlurredCon getting Janelle Monáe. That's how fucking big of a thing it is. So, with that being said, I said, do not fuck this up. And what happens? They already fucked it up. The administration people at charge for the social media made mistakes. There are people there, dudes most likely, who are not respecting women's bodies at conventions, posting videos talking about how provocative these women are in these costumes, and they're asking for an invitation to be sexually assaulted. At what point do y'all have to realize just because a girl's wearing a uniform, of a sexy uniform of a fictional character, means that it's an invitation to think that she's a stripper or a prostitute? See, that whole generic situation of just because I dress like a slut doesn't make me a slut. That whole rhetoric that y'all wanted to use years ago, that Dave Chappelle said, hey, you know, ladies, you're in a slut uniform, but you're wearing a uniform. You're not a slut, but you're wearing a slut's uniform. Which, by the way, fuck Dave Chappelle, and I say that with all meaning as a person who is an ally to the queer community. You can't use that rhetoric anymore in cosplayers. Just because a woman is dressed in a sexy costume at a convention does not mean it's an invitation to have Pound Town with her. It does not. Especially if she's wearing a provocative costume that's a swimsuit at anime conventions like Colossalcon or YetiCon. Because you know what? That's even worse. It's bad enough we see that in regular conventions when you see women dressed in a cami bodysuit that's giving her a wedgie, showing her butt. Doesn't mean it's an invitation for you to get her back to your hotel room and bang her. No. And we need to stop that rhetoric. We really do. I see Fun Size Cosplay in this provocative outfit for Yuna of Inuyasha. And while I have a crush on that character, and I think Fun Size Cosplay is a very attractive woman, I am not ever trying to say I'm going to make a move with her to ask her to come to my hotel room privately. Fuck no. I wouldn't do that as just a normal person at the convention, nor would I do that as a cosplaying photographer especially. And that is a rhetoric that needs to die. We need that to die, especially to my fellow men in the cosplay community, photographers, non-cosplayers, cosplayers, and non-cosplaying photographers who are guests at this convention. We need to stop this fucking rhetoric, and we need to start counting these dudes out. There are 2 dudes on TikTok, 2 black men who basically exposed, and you know who they are, they basically exposed the fact that we men need to start having other men accountable because this shit is stupid, that we're getting a bad rep for it, because we are rightfully need to be called out because of what we made mistakes in. That needs to extend to outside of the normal male community as well, to the male in the cosplay and convention community too. We need to extend that shit to them too. We need to, because it's so goddamn tiresome. I have been in the convention circuit for 10 fucking years, as long as I've done convention cosplay photography, and I'm tired of that fucking rhetoric still, because we have to deal with this shit every damn time, and I'm so goddamn tired of it. We need to end this shit. We need to kill it, because I'll be damned standing 10 toes down going to convention and I see a cute cosplayer in a sexy costume, and I just tell her how attractive she is and how good she's working it, looking good in that costume, and I see a dude behind her with his phone secretly taking pictures of her butt because it's exposed in her costume, and walks away like there's nothing wrong with it. I refuse to see that shit. And more men like my boy Demetrius, we need to call them out for it, because I'm not bro versus hoe the shit. That men code needs to die. The bros are goats hoes. I've said this before. It's chicks before dicks. And I want to license that line so goddamn bad. It's chicks before dicks. But then again, I would like to say, if I can't make a trademark of it, ladies, feel free to use that as the girl code. Chicks before dicks. Use that as it is, because I feel like y'all need to use it. Chicks before dicks. Because it can't use bitches before britches. That doesn't make no sense. But chicks before dicks. Please use that. Please use that, ladies. Please. I want you to use it. Chicks before dicks. If we dudes have to have a shitty ass bro code like bros before hoes, y'all can use chicks before dicks. Do that, so you can keep it unified on y'all hood, womenhood. Use that, ladies. Please. Because if not, I want to trademark it and make it useful for y'all ladies to use it. I want y'all to do it. I'm literally considering making a shirt based on that design. After this episode, I'm literally considering making a shirt for this, for ladies. I really do. Barbie-esque it up. Chicks before dicks. Because I don't know why it's not a shirt or a design. I want to see that. Maybe it is, you know. Like, honestly, I'm looking at it now. Yep. Okay. So it is. It is. I'm looking it up right now. I see shirts. I see stickers. I see books. I see constantly. I see hearts. I see patches. Good. Use it. If it's not licensed, I want to make a shirt for it. Yeah. There's even a cookie where it shows a chick before a dick. Ladies, please use it. Please use it. I just don't want you to have to use it for the lesbian situation. Use it for the sisterhood. That's my only thing. Because I see one or two people who are using it for a lesbian specific, and I'm like, But please, chicks before dicks. And then there's, of course, one or two of them. To hell with bros before hoes or chicks before dicks. Whatever I have is my back, I'm there for you. I want to use that terminology, but unfortunately. And then, of course, there's, the queer one, which is I love chicks with dicks, which is trans girls. Anyways, if anything, we need to call these dudes out. We need to call these dudes out, and we need to appropriately make sure that they are not being in this community anymore to ruin it for all of us. I don't want it anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm fucking tired of it. I'm so goddamn tired of it. I am tired of women having to feel like they are on constant alert because they can't trust any man within the vicinity in the cosplay world alone, because they are scared that any dude who even extends a friendly gesture of open communication could be a sexual fucking predator. I'm sick of it. We weren't supposed to have it in this community. We weren't. We were not supposed to have this. We were supposed to be the safe space for women and for everyone. And instead, now we're a danger zone, no different than a sports arena, no different than a restaurant, no different than a fucking nightclub. We weren't supposed to be that. And apparently at Dreamcon, dudes ain't still fucking learning. Now, it's not to say that there are some women who also do that stuff too, but it's a big minority change of it become men and women. More men than women. We need to learn on that. Dudes, we gotta learn on that. Like, for real. We need to. I'm so sick of the rhetoric on the fact that dudes don't really understand the fact that that is a thing. I'm so tired of it. Like, stop being oblivious, guys. Stop. Again, I don't like to be rhetorical or I don't like to be repetitive, but I said before and I said it again. It's why I keep my male circle of close friends small. I have more female friends than men because I want women to understand I am a safe person to be around, and at the same time, I am not being with them as friends because I want to get in my pants. I want them to see that I am a safe person and that regardless of the dick between my pants, I am no different than y'all as a human fucking being and respectful to another human fucking being. And just because you have nips and lips, it is not the first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to seeing you as a person. I want every woman to do that, to understand that. If an opportunity comes for dating, I will accept that depending on what it is, or I will reject it depending on how it is. But it is not the first thing that comes to mind when I communicate with a woman. It is more in the sense of my interest in them, an interest in what they are interested in, our common bond of interest. And it is mostly the nerdy things that I have talked about, the nerdy things that I am interested in, no different than they are. The ones that I'm attracted to, interested in, I keep that shit private. But at the same time, even sometimes, one or two of them I joke around with publicly. But most times, if I'm interested in you, I will tell you. There was a video that I posted on my TikTok that I literally had said online on the sense of, listen, if I like you, I will tell you I like you. I will tell you I like you. But I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to say I like you, if anything, when it comes to the fact that when it comes to me talking with you in the sense of, listen, if I tell you I like you, I'm going to tell you I want to be with you. I want to be with you. I'm going to lay it out straight up. I'm not going to subliminal. I'm not going to tease left and right sense of it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be straight up with you if I tell you I like you. I don't like hidden messages of shit. I did that early on in my career, in my life, and that didn't work for me because mixed feelings, because I have lost 2 to 3 opportunities of women who basically said, hey, I didn't know you were interested like that. I didn't see the sign. And it's my own fault. My own fault, because I should have said something. But at the same time, it just tells you right there, I should have been more open in communication on that sense of it. Trying to find that video if I can, because I want this. Here we go. So I posted this on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok if you can.
And then when a man says, you can come if you want to.
I want you here with me. I want you to be here. You should be here. How does that make you feel when I say that? Now, I'm somebody that likes to simplify. So let's make it even more simple. I want you. Now what? Where's your debate now? Pull up. That's 2 words. Doors open. Come through. Have some. I got you. I can't take care of you over there. I can love you from anywhere. But I can't take care of you the way I know you want me to take care of you if you're way over there. Pull up. Now, how does that make you feel when I say that? Exactly.
And then when a man...
And that is exactly... That's why I had to duet that video. Because I want people to understand. I want specifically, especially the woman that I am trying to talk to. And there is a few that has been on the mind, but you're not really going to know who they are, maybe or maybe not, that I've literally sent that to. And I've told them, I'm being honest. This is what it is. I can love you, adore you, and appreciate you anywhere you are. But understand this: if I want you, I'm gonna tell you straight the fuck up. I'm 40 years old. I got no time to give you mixed messages. I got no time to tell you subliminally. I got no time to leave you fucking hints. I'm gonna say it straight up. And this is from somebody who has social anxiety and an introvert. If I'm willing to break that social anxiety to tell you, and I said this in the captions, especially for me, an introvert, putting in the work to tell you I want you, going out of my comfort zone to tell you this, take that as a simple and serious moment. I'm not hard to decipher. That means if I am willing to tell you straight up, despite my social anxiety introvertedness, that I want you, that I adore you, that I want you here with me, and if I'm telling you this straight the fuck up, take the fucking message. Now, with everyone else, play flirting is what it is. Play flirting. That's all it is. You might be already in a relationship with somebody that I already know of, which I respect. You and I may just have a good friendship, even if you're single, and I don't see any interest in us really officially making it official. But I play flirt a lot. My friend Marissa, who I love so much immensely, is a play flirt too. And she's been in many relationships, and we still play flirt with each other. And we have shot together several times, but at the same time, we play flirt with each other. But we have a trust with each other. And if that doesn't tell you that I'm like that with everybody else, and you're not comfortable with it, that's all I need to know, is let me know if you're not comfortable with it. But if you are comfortable with it, and you know that from my reactions of how I am with Marissa, then you should take it no different than that. But I've never once, with those type of people, made it very clear that I want you, unless I want you. And I've only done that 2 or 3 times with someone that I'm friends with in this community, that I've made it clear in the sense of we dating and I want to have a relationship with you, that it never went that well. 2 to 3 times. And unfortunately, out of the 5 women who I shot with who have banned me, only one of them I bit was that with. One. Everyone else, it's not. But that's neither here nor there. The point being, though, is I've always made it very clear, respectfully, on a restriction, that I do not ever make an, just because I shot with a beautiful cosplayer or a sexy cosplayer, it means that an invitation to think that I have a chance with them. Never. Ever. I could be close friends with them. I could play flirt. I could do a lot of big gestures that people think would be more like, that's a gesture that a guy who's interested in her dating would be like Elk Cosplay. I like her. I do. But never once have I ever intended of having to go out with her, because I always looked at her as someone who's queer. She's gorgeous. She's sexy as hell. I love shooting with her. I appreciate the friendship and the communications we have together. But never once have I ever made it a clear speculation that I'm interested in her. Hell, I even sent her a care package just so I tell her about the appreciation. But people would think that's like dating. But I've always made it clear that is not what the intent is. But at the same time, there have been many women, unfortunately, because of my awkwardness, assume that it's me trying to be invitive to ask them out or have a relationship with them. It happens. This is why I'm working on that. This is why I have now grown to that point where I'm not doing that anymore. Because now I have to make sure that they know I'm only coming from a friendship perspective. Unless I've made it very clear that I want you in a direct response of it, don't think that's what it is. Please don't. But at the same time, I've no longer tried to go even that reach of it, because I know now, I know since then, unfortunately, some people can't see that communication. So now I don't do that as much as I do anymore. I just keep it on a friendly social basis. Because I can't pull it off like my friend Marissa. Now, aside from all that, in a sense of it, when it comes down to dudes who are doing this situation, it's the one thing that I've said over and over again when it comes to men that needs to be addressed, that needs to be fixed, is dudes need to understand that when a woman says no, take the fucking answer. But also at the same time, dudes, if you See a attractive cosplayer and she looks sexy in her costume, admire that, but do it in silence if you have to. We don't need to see you broadcast it. We don't need to see you talking to other people about it. We don't need to see you make videos about it. Keep that shit to yourself if you have to. At the same time, you shouldn't do it at all, but if you're going to do it in silence. The only time you can express that is if she resends it back to you openly. If there is a girl who is dressed in a sexy Psylocke costume, you see how sexy she looks. She knows you think she's sexy, and she's flirting with you openly like a single woman is, then you can make that move. And also keep in mind the fact that she also has to be a legal age with you as well, because some of y'all forget that even though there are some girls who dress sexy in costumes, some of them are still underage compared to you. Just because you're in your mid-20s doesn't mean that she's going to be also in her mid-20s. She could be still 18 to 19 years old dressed that way. There are cosplaying girls who are that way. I have shot a cosplayer who is dressed sexy in a costume, and she is 17 years old. But yet, because she's wearing a sexy swimsuit costume, does not give an invitation for a 20-year-old to ask her. So don't even dare try to do that, because that shit is gross as fuck. I've shot models who are 17, 18 years old. They've asked to do boudoir shoots, but never will I post them because out of respect of my profession and the respect of them being not legal yet, I do not want to invite creeps to walk at their outfits. At all. I've shot 2 17, 18-year-old cosplayer models who had asked me to do boudoir with them, and not once have I ever posted their work. Because I respect them for their own confidence in wanting it, and at the same time, it is not of their legal age to do it. Now, one of them has just turned 21. There may be a possibility I may post her work if she allows it. But other than that, it doesn't need to be seen. It's only for their eyes and my eyes only. But it's not like I'm looking. Now, with that being stated, men need to understand in the cosplay community, we're supposed to be a safe haven. We need to go back to that. So all my dudes out there, the good ones in the world, if you see any of these other motherfucking dudes who are not being respectful to women, just regardless of what they're wearing in costumes, and they're being disrespectful and being rude and being making them uncomfortable, and you see the signs, call them the fuck out. Call them the fuck out. Because Lord knows I will. And me being a professional photographer, I ain't going to stand for that shit anymore. I'm not. Shout out to my boy Hellspawn Cosplay, Demetrius, who, one of the few I know that rides for that shit. Because I know, especially black men in this community, I'm looking at the most. Because most of y'all niggas, y'all do that shit. Y'all will. Some of y'all niggas do. I know it because I see it all the damn time on TikTok. I saw a black dude, post about seeing a girl's ass out in one of the costumes, and he's just, and he posts a video about it. Nigga, nobody wants to see that. Keep that shit to yourself. You like the view, fine, then shut the fuck up. You don't need to talk to somebody about it. You don't. You don't need to post that shit on social media. You don't. Keep that shit to yourself. Shut the fuck up. It's one of the things that I hate the most when I see niggas doing that shit. And if you come with that Kevin Samuels bullshit, you can get the fuck out of our community because we ain't having that. We black nerds ain't doing it. We have been ridiculed and insulted for years as the Urkels in this situation community, regardless of us not even wearing glasses, but just acting that way. I'll be damned if we end up being the perverts in this situation. Just because Japan gets away with that shit sometimes doesn't mean we can. No, we ain't dealing with that shit. So we gonna cut that shit off like a fucking tumor. Okay? Now, before I go, there's one more topic I do want to bring up about. And that is something on the AI situation. If you have followed me on my TikTok and on my social like Twitter, which I had to come back to, I have been dealing with a little bit of testing. So shout out to Nina Batista, who told me about this thing from ChatGPT called Sora. Sora is a program that allows you to use image generation to a limitation. And this is what I want to bring up because it's a scary situation. Now, I wanted to do a test that I did a whole week where I did it. It's the code name is codename Mina Masaki. The code name is also the name of the person. Now, with AI, it's come to a point now that you can, with AI, if with limitation, like JPBG, Gronk, and Google's Gemini, you can actually replicate images that are lifelike. If you wanted to replicate a person in the most lifelike way, you can. The only limitation is based on their restriction in their coding, which is lewdness. So certain risque situations you can't do that with. Now, there are some AIs that you can do that with. For example, there's an AI programming called Venus. Venus actually has what's called a flex contextual compartment that allows you to actually do risque. And I want to show a few images that I used on that. And again, this is test project Mina. And I want you to see this because this is something I've been posting about for a while that is on a scary level. Now, I'm going to pull up my my Mega Drive because I have most of the photos on my Mega Drive because I deleted them because I want to use this. I've been showing a few people on this, but at the same time, I wanted to show on the sense of it. But first, we're going to start off with Google's Gemini program. Now, this is a picture of a lovely woman you see right here, looking sexy in bottoms and a crop top, arched her butt, pointing backwards. This is actually was replicated courtesy of Gemini. This is a fabricated, constructed image used by Gemini, the Gemini AI program from Google. This is 100% not real. Now, if you notice, with some AI programs, they have a little bit of limitation. For example, limitations on limb constructions or body constructions or autonomy that's somewhat off-putting. Like sometimes somebody will have an extra arm or fingers are twisted the wrong way or certain body on their eyes are a little bit constricted off. As you can see in this image right here, not a flaw is seen, with one exception to extent, I think, and that is her feet. If you notice, she's got 4 toes. That's been one of the limitations. There's like 1 or 2 limitations in the sense of it, but it's almost flawless if you didn't see it. It's a blink and you miss it. And let me show you another one. This is another one. Again, 1 limitation, but if you didn't notice it, doesn't look anything weird, right? Girl in her crop top and panties. Hands are constructed right. Arms look fine. Facial construction looks flawless, right? Hair looks great. 1 flaw. The foot area. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 toes on this one. 6 toes on that one. It's a blink and you miss it moment. Let me show you another. This is another constructed image with AI, with Google Gemini. The Asian girl on the shirt with a button-up shirt in a background location setting. Looks like a normal photo shoot. All constructed through Google's Gemini. And not one, and this one, you don't see any flaw. Nothing is off about it. This one too. Like, even with the fact of her having a missing finger, which is probably hidden on there, we can take into account, not a flaw. And I use this pose as an example because of the provocativeness of her pose. That's something else too I wanted to see. If most of these AIs are able to restrict you to a point with provocative outfit bodies, of it. So for example, if you use the code description of panties, it'll automatically flag it. But if you say boy shorts, easily go through. I think this is another example with the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See? 5 on this one. The crop top error was on this one too. But again, it's a blink and you miss it moment. But like this one, no flaws. Like certain body limbs to a restriction you can get away with without having any flaw. Now here's where the Venus app is. Now on the body sense of it, you can see with the exception of the lighting on her skin you would never know this was a fabrication on the sense of it until until you get the limbs. Now, perfect example. Now, Venice, the problem with Venice is they do it to a point where there is some limitation. Now, I had to Photoshop this, but at the same time, there was some errors in this. You look at her feet. The toes are actually upside down, and they were painted black. I just Photoshopped the paint off of them to make them at least look decent. But that's one of the many errors that Venus has. And look at her hand. You see the paint underneath the fingernail as well as off the fingernail. Another example of that. And then there's like this one with this. This is another Venice construction. So and I'll talk to this in a minute on another one when it comes to that, because there's also that limitation in the sense of it. But if you look here, not a flaw on here. Fingers are all equivalent. Limbs are fine. Again, had to put in not a thong, but put in boy shorts. This is another one on Venice from the same construction. Again, same thing I had to do with the feet. The limbs on that end of it. Then there's 2 or 3 errors, like this one. This one has an error. You look closely, missing a few fingers, and the fingers are constructed in the wrong way. But again, if you have her standing up in a sense posing, and again, you can't say ass or booty either, or posterior. Using those terms would make it happen. You can just say back facing the wall, or facing the back, your back facing the viewer. Those are the type of terms I had to put in to get the construction to work. I don't use the words like provocative, like posterior or booty or ass. Automatic flag. But if you say body is turned to the viewer and the head is turned to the viewer, you can get away with stuff like that. It automatically with the fabrication of booty and butts. Like this one has a flaw, the mouth. And then there's this one. So this one is actually, I decided to do this one. This was a little bit funnier. So this one is actually a fabrication based on an actual picture. So there is this picture that I found of Ashley Martell. And if you don't know who Ashley Martell is, she is a model influencer who was known for dating Irv Gotti. That's right, the Irv Gotti, rest in peace. And she did a photo shoot a while back. And I remember one of the shots that she had done was this sort of shoot, which is actually this look here. And if I can pull up one of the photos that she had done with this photo, and I might as well save it right now because I know I'm going to lose that photo again. They decided, okay, yeah, we'll do that. So what I did was I told them, can you replicate that photo? I get that photo, and I told Google Gemini to replicate describe it. Can you do that same with the description? Yes, we can do that. Okay. I took it, copied it, and pasted it to Sora. Told them using that description to generate a photo. This is the photo that they generated. Not far off. Not far off. A few little differences I did add to it. For example, in order to get her feet area, I had to generate in description items that were on the floor. As you can see, that's why there's a compact and a ring. I added that into the description so for because most of the shots generated that came up only showed the ankle or heel up. It wasn't until I put on the 4 generation of near her feet, there's 2 items. That's what it took to. Then there's another situation, as you can see, in the original picture, she's sitting on the edge of this bed. For some reason, in the description that Sora took, they did not equate that. So they generated planks that's off the side of the bed, a stool that's on the side of the bed. They won't put her on the bed. And I did it 3 times before I gave up. So this is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one. As you can all see, she's not even on the bed. She's on an ledge of the bed, not even sitting on the actual edge. And I tried to change that description like 4 times on the edge of the bed, on the corner of the bed, on the edge, top of the bed, sitting on the edge of the bed, sitting on the bed, sitting in the front of the bed. Every way I described it, it still generated that way. I just added a generic tattoo to show on the fact of, and the reason why I added the tattoo is to show the generation of showing her hip line. Because as you can see in the original photo, she's showing her whole hip. I tried to see if they could generate her whole hip on that angle. They did not. In this, either this one or this one, at least up to that area, but they would not show the hip, so it didn't matter. This is another generated image that I took. This one is really, really accurate. The only downside is you can see in the undergarment it says members only, and then it said a members only blazer, but not a members only jacket. But it replicated the sneakers just a little bit enlarged, but everything else looks so damn clean. I did another one. I think this is the other one. What was that? So this led me going down more of a rabbit hole. I did another test where I thought, okay, so what can we do in generation of full genetic looks? So then I did this one. The description is sitting on the floor and without shoes, Asian sensual woman, slender-sized woman, nail polish on her hands, arms reaching to her left arm reaching to her right thigh, right arm extending her right shoulder, tattoo of butterfly on her shoulder, strapless body dress, small strapless dress, wearing large glasses, short pixie hair, black cut. Face gender to the side. Gray, dark background. These are the three images that it came up with. Option 1, option 2, and I think that third one is somewhere on here. There it is. Option 3. I added the nose piercing to these two. But as you can see, it generated it a little bit different. There were a couple more, but this is the closest of what I was looking for. This one is the one that was the closest of what I was trying to get in description. But as you can see, very accurate. The next test I did was a Catwoman test, where it's basically, the description is, Asian slender girl, sitting on a glass chair, boy shorts with the word meow in block letters, crop top shirt, on the back says Selena, written in cursive, pink, milk bowl sand behind, sitting back facing the viewer, middle tattoo on backside of the Batman symbol, wearing glasses, nail polish, one hand, right hand visible on her right elbow, on her left elbow, has piercing cat-like eyes, which is why the yellow, boy pixie cut, wearing cat ears, looking back in flirtation expression. This was the first variant, and this is the second variant, as you can see. Then I did another one where similar description, sitting in the front, whip on the back, glass, Catwoman logo on the back, adding a long sleeve shirt, chain bracelet around the waist, and a choker collar, and change the glasses to blue to pink instead of black. I think this variant and this variant. Hands also with a ring added to it, ring on finger. As you can see, it went at least up to the foot, up to the toe area. Chair is plastic, as you can see, clear chair, somewhat similar. This one more than this one, to be honest, because this one is more like the chair is too small for her, and she's too big. This one is more accurate sense of it. Same description, two different variants. Oh, then there's the third one. And this is where I had to do the same thing I did with the other video and the other image. Had to add an image description on the bottom of her foot area to help generate her feet area. Add description of small little black cat in the middle. That's all that was necessary. So, and then I think I did one on Gemini. By the way, all these were generated, all these Selena ones, Catwoman ones, were generated through Sora, except this one. This one was generated with Google Gemini. Girl in glass chair, wearing high heel pumps, black nail polish, wearing a necklace with the bat symbol, leather skirt, DC Studios logo on the back, which is not the DC Studios logo, short pixie hair, cat piercing eyes, holding a small kitten. Her legs were supposed to be crossed, not sitting like this. The only error in this image. But again, if I had described it with her with the cat below her or an item below her, then it would be that way. Oh, Selena on the crop top shirt. So yeah. And I did a few tests similar to that sense of it. Like I did one with a blonde hair, pink crop top, wearing a pleated white skirt. But I had to change it up a couple of times, sitting on the side in thigh highs. These are several variations. And then I also added underwear scene under where this generated image of it. And this was the first one because pink skirt, mini skirt. But then I had to add the pleated in detail. And that was the finished generation that I wanted. So there were a few more that I had on that sense of it. I think that's the last of them because I think these are actually supposed to go in here because this was, oh, no, this is from my else. Then I did another test with Psylocke. I wanted to see about comic accuracy. Girl in purple crop top and boy shorts, holding pink glowing katana, butterflies around her, purple black hair, Asian mentality, necklace shaped like lightning, anklet on foot, painted nails on hands and feet, holding sword. This was the first generated image. This was not the one I wanted. This was the image I wanted. But as you can see, there's some irregularities. For example, the bracelet was only on her arm and not on her leg until it replicated it again. The katana was shorter. No bracelet seen. And then changed it up with these for fantasy uses. But then, as you can notice, with these, they made them look more realistic more and more. Like this, they're more and more, they started looking less realistic, where it's like almost like painting aesthetic with some parts of her skin tone to make her look real. But then there's a parts of her you can see that's literally looks like it's a painting or a sketch work. Except this one. This one you can literally look like it's art. It's digital art. Because it's so fantasy-like this one. Like this is literally look like a comic book painting, like a watercolor. The way her hair is and the glow on the katana, like everything on here is looking like it's not even a photo, but more of a generated of an image. You can literally see it. And that's the one thing about Sora that they do differently than Gemini. Gemini tries to replicate it in photo accuracy. Sora is more art accuracy, where it's like if we do a sketch or a watercolor or color pencil sketching, nobody will know the difference. This is the same description of that Psylocke design, but this time I did it with Google Gemini. Now you can see it's a photo image. However, when I asked for another variation, then it did, hold on, not this picture. Then it started going fake realistic like this, where you can tell the lower body is more realistic, but from the face area, it looks straight up CGI painted design. Like this is something out of a Barbie ad. But the rest of her body looks real. Tries to show realism. But then it went back to that on photo end of it. The skin tone of her face looks more realistic, like it's a real person. Like this is an actual photo. And then I did another variation where it's Asian girl, slender body, purple boy shorts and purple hoodie. And then it came up with this variations. Now, when I did it on Venus, went a little more provocative in the sense of it, but that wasn't what I wanted. This was not what I wanted, but this was the Venus's replication. When I did it Google AI, they did this one with Google's Gemini. Exactly the description I wanted. Hoodie covering up to her face as if she's pulling it off. And of course, the purple accents in her hair. So this was like this was the Psylocke test. And then that one is another one that I'm not going to show y'all. Now, here's where the Project Mina comes in. I decided to do a fully designed render of a character that I created up on my own. Imagine a young adult Asian, slender body, long black hair, except parted on one side of her left and right hair, shaved as in a punk aesthetic with a red bangs on the front, similar to my VTuber hair character design. For those who catched on to that, wearing similar red glasses like myself, but she's Asian. And I decided to do several variated tests of it. So these are the several outfits and test of it. So the first test, swimwear shots. These are the swimwear shots. Now you can see some of these are in fabrication of like almost like paintings. I had to get the description right when it comes to the swimsuits, first ones. Then I had first designs where it got a little bit more photogenic. This one was the only one that was an error because I had accidentally put in her skin was a little bit tanned, hence why her skin pale a bit. But the other ones, not much irregularity, right? These are the ones that were not irregular, just a little bit of offer because of the swimwear. But then there's the photogenic one, like this one. See the difference? This one, like you can tell, like it's not like a photo of her, but it does have the texture, but you can tell it's a digital image because it almost looks like it's a sketch painting. Whereas this one, more realistic. Like this is a real actual photo of her. This is the most of accuracy. And again, no irregularities. Like even the background is so. If I posted this with put my tag on the side of it, you swear somebody be like, where did you find a model who looks like that to shoot with? That is the dangerous, scary part about this. This is too real. This is another one. Look at the detail on the sand on her hands and feet. And even on her butt, like the wetness of her hair. That is how detailed this is. If it wasn't for the fact you could see the irregularities in her glasses. Now, there were a few moments that there was some irregularities, like her hair. Because of her hairstyle is very unique, I wanted to put it in as a test. Shaved side, red bangs, black on the sides. That exact description. There are some shots, as you can see, where the hair is not always fully on the bang. And then there's some where the hair is on the bang. And then there's some moments where there's hair still on the side that's shaved. And there's not a lot of hair on the side that's shaved. And all these poses are based on actual images that I used too. So that was the first test, this one. So second one is the first date. Now it's going to go backwards. Well, actually here. We start off with the dress, photo eccentric. Changed up a little bit with shoes and such. Again, one thing AI doesn't do is they don't replicate the shoes well unless it comes to the point the pose has your knees up in a position where you're sitting on the floor or sitting in a leg area where your legs are visible or more is the only time the legs are visible, or unless you put a description that shows that's on the floor. Like if I said just for random, there is a pair of keys on the floor next to her feet, it'll replicate the shoes fully. I said strappy high heels, but the detail in the jewelry is almost in the sense of it. The glasses also is another thing that AI has a trickery with, because I said solid red glasses like mine, but most times they'll be translucent like this. Then there'll be ones where the black frame on the back is black and the front is red. Then there'll be moments where it's half red on the glasses and half not. And then square glasses, also in that sense of it. Like that one into this one. And then there's like this image. The dress, red, sleeveless, stitched, tube dress with slit on the side. Thigh highs, you can't put thigh high as a description. You have to put stockings up to thighs, socks up to thighs. That's what you have to do. As you can see, the jewelry also switches up from this jewelry to this one. And like I said, hair is always the trickery. Hair is always the trickery. And then as you can see from generation automatically, there are moments where she has piercings on ears like this, and then she has a generic earring. It's the only mix up. And then you can see here the generic of Asianness. Her exterior here from here. That's another thing. You see the hair? Hair is different on that too. If anything. So with most of these, the posing was the hard part of it compared to the visual of the look of it. And just a few irregularities in that. But as long as you're fully descriptive, it makes it easy. Something simple like, for example, having a model take her shoe off and not wearing a shoe, harder to show unless you have a description where you have to have your visual to the lower length of it. Then it's to a point where it's hard. But at the same time, it's also very hard to get that description of it. And then switching up to the looks pose-wise. And then when it comes to certain poses, like for example, them saying sitting on her knees, you can't say that. You have to say sitting knee length or sitting flat on the floor or sitting on the floor with on her sitting standing on her knees in a sense of it. You have to use certain terminology to get the description right. Otherwise, it'll throw it off irregularity. Like one of the poses on here I did that was really hard. Like in some cases, like this one and this one, almost the same. And then the direction that they generated on its own. But then there's ones like tougher, like this one, where it's the model is coming forward to the viewer, and you have to make that very clear. The viewer. And then here's where irregularities happen. Like this is a shot for those running where the model is I basically am trying to have the model do a pose where she is basically supposed to have her body arched to a certain pose where she's almost crawling. You can't have that in a sense of it. Now I'll show you the actual reference image that I used for it. This is from a model that I shot with years ago. So the pose is supposed to be similar to this. This is the pose I generated for it. I took it to Google Gemini, asked for the description. They gave me the description. Copied it, pasted it onto Sora, and it did this instead. So some of the generated photos don't really do that. And for those who are looking at the video, the irregularity just shows you right there. And then I did several ones similar to that in a sense of, on the case of it, like I said, you can't say panties. You have to say boy shorts. Otherwise, it'll be a smaller sense of it. Small boy shorts. You can't say booty. You have to say backside or back area. You can't say sexy. You can't use the term sexy or flirtate or sensual. Either of those terms automatically flag. But you can say intimate to some extent. You can say cute. You can say flirting. You can say innocent. You can say curious. Those are also good ones. This photo here I'm showing for those who are watching the video. It's actually the photo that I showed earlier of Olivia Munn that I showed, where Olivia from her raunchy photo shoot. That photo, I actually took that photo, which is the one with her backside. I had put that in the generator of Google Gemini. This one, Google Gemini, put it in there, told them to describe it. They described it, changed a few things, and put it in, copy and paste it to Sora, and it made this instead. Made an entirely different pose. But as you can see, it's the same location, and it's supposed to be the same shoot. Different location. Changed up a few things in the pose-wise to see how limbs look. Exactly that. So, if anything, ladies and gentlemen, this is the danger I find of AI. Now, for those who have followed my TikTok, there's a video I posted where there is a model. Her name is Sinew. Sinew, I believe her name is, which I'm guessing is supposed to be Korean or such. Siu, I think her name is. I found out about her on Threads. She looked like a normal, amazing, gorgeous model. Turns out she's nothing more than a fabrication AI image. And there's another one I just found out now. Her name is Rosalind. You probably see me follow her on Instagram because she's only on Instagram minimally. She goes by the name, I think it's Images of Rose. I think her name is on there. Rosa Sonosaki. Now, I'm going to pull up pictures of her if you're watching the version on Instagram, on YouTube and such. Video version. Now, if you see these photos, you might notice there is some irregularities to her. And it turns out this is also an AI model. These are not real images of her. They're fabricated AI images of her. Slight little irregularities you don't notice, but they've been edited. But if so, they have been edited out to not see. But this girl is not real. 100% not real. And I can tell because a few things. One, she says she uses a Web3 blockchain account, which means she doesn't have a website or social media. Two, I found out about her because she had a Caviar account, but her Caviar account name was a bunch of numbers and letters. And then she got flagged and her page was taken down, which leads me to believe they thought it was a spam account, and it is. And third, there are several images on here that are actually stock images. This image, for example, of a picture of her in a bra a very revealing bra, leaning on the wall, and a gun in her pocket. If you can see carefully, that gun is a clip art image of a gun. That's not a real gun. Then there's like this image where she's doing the same pose, but she's doing it while she's holding in her mouth apparently a rubber band. That's not a real rubber band. That's literally a digital paint image of a rubber band in her mouth that was put on there. Then there's like this image of her wearing a McDonald's bra, which basically it's a red revealing bra, a small mini bra with the McDonald's logos on them. McDonald's has never done anything with that, nor has there ever been any fashion company that has made an outfit of that. Then there is an image where I'm trying to look for it because there is a few more of them. Actually, I have to pull them up if anything. Then there is an image with her in there's one image in particular. I know it's somewhere here. I think I have a few of the other stock images on here. So there's an image of her where she's wearing a jacket and no bra. It's a very implied image. And she's wearing a large, heavy jacket, no bra, but she's wearing a mask. Not this one. It's, where is it? Is it this one? I'm looking on here. No, not this one. So it's a picture of her in a motorcycle in a big heavy jacket. She's wearing a mask over her face, like a bandana mask over her face, and she is it's sort of like a street essence type of look. And she is her face is covered, wearing a hat and a motorcycle jacket. Actually, I think I have the photo on here because I didn't upload it, but I didn't put it up on here so soon. Might be on here. Let me see, because I have the photo. I just have to look for it because I needed it for reference. Actually, oh, you know what? I could go to her Instagram because I know she has it on Instagram. So let me go to her Instagram. You'll see this on Instagram. So if you go to her Instagram is Shots of Rosa, I believe it is called, or Art of Rosa. And if you want to follow me, by the way, go ahead and go on there. Oh, she changed it again. So it's Sonozaki Rosa. It was Art of Rosa at one point, but now it changed it. Okay, so this is her Instagram. Here's the picture. Now, if you look at this picture, it's her in a jacket, varsity jacket, mini bra on, baseball cap, and it's a bandana that says Photo Street Thug Life. That bandana should look very familiar because that bandana is actually a bandana art that is used as a clip image. In fact, if you see it right here, it's a stock photo of that bandana. And if you look at closely on the way that it's drawn and it's clipped on here, it is exactly the goddamn same. Not this. It's exactly the freaking same. Hold on. As it is here. The creases and everything is exactly the freaking same, which leads me to know this is a clip art. This is not real. This is a generated AI image. And then here's the last thing that tell me about this woman isn't legit. If you see here, she also is wearing, get this, she also is working for several companies that are not real. They are not real companies. LVST, Photographia, and then there's another one called trying to remember of it. Photographia, LVST, Studio Mirai, Utopic Rebellious Beauty, Blackened. That's the name of it. Blackened. None of these are real photography companies. None of them are. And that's what leaves me to believe this is not a real person. This is all generated AI images. All of these are real, not real images. The first time that I noticed that it wasn't real of her was an image she did where she cosplayed separately Velma of Scooby Doo. This is 100% not real. And then she posted another photo where she's supposed to be Velma in her stories, which I was able to capture, where she's dressed as Velma from Scooby Doo, which is this image. Not even the same. Not even the same. You notice the choker is missing on this one from this one. Glasses are different. That tells you right there this is an AI image. So, why am I following her? Well, one, I could use the entertainment, just having conversations with her, because she's having real conversations with me as if the artist pretending to be her. And two, I could always just use some inspiration for my work because I can replicate these as real pictures. Now, I can even tell you that she tried to make selfies, but they weren't real either, like this one. Obviously, it's not a real selfie. Not even real. And then I asked her to send me a selfie of her current with her hair because she posted a picture of her with her real hair, apparently, with red dye. And then she sent me this picture. This is obviously a genetic picture of a person with her hair, not real face, and painted over the hair to look red and didn't even finish the rest of it, which you can see right here in this red image that I actually scrolled out. Her hair is supposed to be fully red. And then when I told her about that, she said, oh, I'm going for an ombrage look at the last minute. Again, that tells you right there this isn't real. This woman is not real. If you follow her at your own risk, but I'm just doing it for the entertainment because I could use that entertainment. But I'm not going to lie. Like most of the stuff that's fabricated in these shots of it, I could replicate using Sora. Programs like Sora and Venus could replicate these images with these person. And you can even go so far as to use a real face of a person and add it to those AI images just so you can make every image more accurate to what the person looks like. Now, if this actually ends up being a real person, they did a good job in replicating the digital of that person's look and sense of it. But if it's not a real person and it's AI, like I feel it is, they did a damn good job using whatever program they could to make it look real. The information, the data, everything that's used in this sense of it, it's not real. Like, look at this photo here, even of a mock cover of this fake magazine. Look at their stockings. There is no lettering on those stockings. It's all jumbled letters. Tells you right there it's not real. It's not real. It's fake. That's what happens in AI. If you decide to put, unless you put a specific name of the logo in the AI unit of a specific name on that sense of it in detail, it will not show it. It will not. It'll just make up a bunch of letters and numbers. Because AI can't replicate brand logos unless you give a full description. Like I did one with literally the Loungefly logo, and it didn't even do it right with that. It didn't even. Now, I won't lie. To one point humorous, I did use AI for one little joke of a thing. But it was just to show because of concept. But I don't promote it as I stated before. And if you followed my personal Instagram, you've probably seen it. This is a mock-up that I did of what I would love Loungefly to do. I would love Loungefly to make an actual replica bag for Tenchi Muyo because I think it's an anime that needs more merch. And if they did design one with Tenchi Muyo, this is what it would look like. Ryoki on the front, cabbage design on the front pouch in the back. The sides would have tree designs of it, and the sides pockets would have the logos of Azaka and Kamadaki. That's what it would look like. So, if anything, that's what it would look like. Now, again, I only did this just as a design sense of it, but some of this I actually photoshopped. Like the bottom picture, that's completely AI. You can see that. But the top ones, I sort of used a little bit of Photoshop with those. So you can tell. Like the back panels, like the carrots here in the front and the pack, those were AI. The tree branching design of the bags was AI as well, but the cat head on the front and back, that was Photoshop. So, but yeah, like stuff like that in a sense of it, for mock stuff of it, understandable. But I had to input some of that. So some of those are image references I had to input in Google Gemini for that sense of it. And this was like the first test that I did with it. However, for the Photoshop photo shoot character people things, that is the danger that I was stating on my TikTok video. This is the sort of thing that could be used for scam purposes. This could be used for identification purposes. This could be used for catfish purposes. Imagine somebody finding someone like this, you asking them out, you giving them their personal information, you're thinking you're talking to a legit specific person. A girl sees a guy muscle bound, nerdy, and cosplaying, and he looks so pristine and perfect, and he's an Asian dude, and she thinks he's perfect. And he has all this stuff, money. They don't have a web camera, they don't have a phone to talk to, but they communicate online through chat. And they show all these digital photos, and things are off of them. And then you find out it's nothing but AI that you've been talking to from Catfish when you find out. That is the fear. That people are replicated this way. And I'm not trying to sound all Isaac Asimov, but it's a real situation that needs to be addressed of it. And people need to be more aware. So, when I tell people stuff like this is a danger, please understand that. Now, all that imagery and stuff, with the exception of this Loungefly design that I have, most of all that photos I use as reference to show people examples of it. Everything I made sure I've erased and cleared off all the data and reference images from all the websites that I've talked about, from Google Gemini, from Venice, Sora, and ChatGPT. All of them, data has been erased of everything that I've used of it because I don't want to keep that data and stuff on there. So, again, that is the danger of it. But then again, to quote LeVar Burton, you don't have to take my fucking word for it. So with that being said, I think I'm going to call that today for the end of this video. If y'all have any questions on anything in the sense of it, you know you can reach me on my social media, Twitter and Instagram, Twitter and Blue Sky and Threads. I'm Donnie Yak, Donnie Black. Instagram, Donnie Black, or my Derived Media Photography Instagram. Also, make sure you subscribe to to my YouTube channel for the podcast, along with both my YouTube channels for both my photography and my Donnie Black YouTube channel, which again is mostly going to be used for now, archives for streaming and other things, including my TikTok videos and such, until I start YouTubing. And speaking of that, as you probably saw, I have sort of reconstructed my Twitter. I am in the process of finally going to be launching my VTuber identity sometime next month. You will know officially the day on that. I'm letting you know this is actually going to finally happen because I have a PG and design that I actually now am going to go with. Once I do, I'm going to make the announcement on my TikTok and Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram personally and on my Twitter Instagram family, you probably already seen the design of what she looks like, of what Donnie looks like. The Twitter page, my Twitch page will not change. It will still be twitch.tv Donnie Black. However, there will be moments where I will not be on Twitch as myself for like the podcast, which would be for the VTuber, for Donnie, the other Donnie to do for her. But for myself, there will be moments where I'll be on the channel live in person for like streaming and certain stuff that I decide to do on. But there will be moments where I will be Donnie VTuber, and she will be taking over the channel, and she will be doing more of the streaming and such, along with her video and stuff of it. So that will be happening. Again, you will know more about that very, very soon. I don't want to give too much away of a sense of it, but if you can, I am in the process also of reconstructing my podcast Twitter that used to exist to now be the official Twitter for my VTubing character, Donnie B. She will be under Donnie B the Diva. Donnie with an I, the letter B, Diva. So if you go to Donnie B Diva, she will be there. That will be where she will be only using her channel to talk about her streams and her lives and stuff and video clips and such. Anything that's not dealing with her on there will be on my personal Twitter page, which is Donnie Black. Every once in a while, I will use Donnie B's picture on that page, but anything that deals with Donnie B, the VTuber, she will be on that page from now on. That's the only place that she will have her identity in. But anything that's streaming wise and stuff of it, like I said, you'll know it's either me or you'll know it's her. Again, I will make the official announcement date of the launch for her very, very soon. If you have not watched the video on my personal YouTube channel to know about why I'm doing this for her in this VTubing launching it, you'll find, please go to that to know more information about that. With that being said, I think that's going to be it for today. For those out there, thank you for those who have been watching and checking in the video. Thank you for the love and support. Hopefully I will be back with most episodes. Also, I am in the process of getting guests on the show again. I have 2 lined up that I'm hoping they will answer me back in email. If they do, I may have a big guest on this show again. The last time I had a big guest was Holly Wolf, and that was the launching of this season of this show. If I can get this guest on my podcast, the person that I'm talking about, and if you follow my TikTok, you probably know who I'm talking about. If I can get them on this show, that will be the biggest of an influencer that I have on this show that I've had in a while. And I'm hoping I can get them on during the same week that a certain Kryptonian movie comes out next month. And if that happens, this will be the best promotion for it. And of course, it'll be on my YouTube channel as well as on my streaming platforms like Spotify and iTunes and what have you. So with that being stated, make sure you follow me on TikTok for both my Dry Media and my Donnie Black TikTok, on my Twitter and everything. And of course, when it comes to my photography, if you're ever interested or will need to check out my photography, drymedia.format.com. Check out all my work for all your photography needs. This has been another episode, though, tonight of The House of Black. I thank you for coming to The House of Black. This is Donnie Black, as once again, reminding you all, later days.